Welcome back. Welcome back. What's up, good people? Welcome back to the CP Time Network. I keep putting 9 a.m. on there, but I never make it at 9 a.m. I'm working on it. I promise. One of these days when I put it at 9 a.m., I'm just going to start promptly at 9 a.m. But you see what it is. You see the title. I got a lot of stuff to say on that. Some different things to say about that. So we're gonna get into it. Is walking away the only viable option? I already see some people coming in the buildings. You already see some comments. Mr. Negative Man with the one word answer. Yes, but then he elaborates a little bit right there. But we're going to get into all of that going forward. So come, what was I trying to say? Hit the like button on the way in. That's what I was trying to say. Hit the like button on the way in. You know what time it is. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Something special happened today. I got green lights all the way, with no big red sign to stop me, no traffic jam delay. See, I was driving over the moon in my big hot air balloon, floating high into the darkness. I hope I get there soon. There's so many things to do, so many people I need to talk to, and they've all been waiting for me. Well, I gotta make it through. Something special happened today. I got green lights all the way, with no big red sign to stop me, no traffic jam delay. Thank my stars forever be green. You have no idea what it means. No, to a man who's always traveling, who's seen the things that I've seen. I don't know what's yet to come, not sure of anything that I've done really makes that much difference. Well, I hope it has for some. Some I'd ever knew. Floating high up in the darkness. I promise that I'll make it to you very soon. Something special happened today.
What's going on? What's up? Y'all wasn't supposed to see all that. Yeah, we're not supposed to see that. But we're back. We're back in the building. Tried to run upstairs and make my shit. Y'all wasn't supposed to see this. Tried to run upstairs and make my coffee real quick while the intro was playing, and I didn't quite make it back in time. I was like 3 seconds late. But I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. As I was hitting the, where was it at? Right there. I organized that. I should be able to find it. Hit the like button as you walk on in. Hit that like button. Let everybody know you're here. This is the Grown Man Hour. I am your host, Bernard Riley. Got another good one for you. I see the super chats coming in. Young Jay in the building. What's going on? Mr. Negative, the Negative Man, answered the title question with a very simple one-word answer of yes. Is walking away the only viable option? He says yes. Then he says, well, it really depends on what your end goal is. So we're going to end up talking about that. What's the end goal? What's the end goal? What's your personal end goal when you're talking about walking away? What is the end goal? That's one thing that I didn't necessarily come in just to focus on what's your end goal, what's your end game. But that's something we'll get into. We'll get into that. St. Cloud says, yes, it is. Yes, it is the only viable option. Eric Glenn in the building. Shout out to you. He says Friday. Oh, damn. Friday the 13th. Who'd have thunk it? I had no idea. No idea whatsoever. I don't really care or give any symbolic value to random dates like that and numbers. This number is supposedly unlucky. I think it's ridiculous that hotels that, it's a hotel that got, let's just say 25 floors in it. It goes from, the 10th floor, 11th floor, 12th floor, then they skip the 13th floor and go right from 12th floor to 14th floor. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, they don't. The 13th floor isn't even an option. In some hotels because people, I won't say Negroes, but people are so superstitious. No. Don't have a superstitious bone in my body. So I don't think the number of the floor holds any significance. I don't think the number 13 holds any significance. And so I don't care if it's Friday the 13th on a full moon and a black cat crawling in front of me while I'm opening an umbrella inside of a house while splitting the pole with the person that I'm walking with while stepping on a crack. I'm pretty damn confident that I won't break my mama's back by stepping on that crack. I'm pretty confident. Pretty confident about that. But fair, nice acknowledgement that it is Friday the 13th. You probably wasn't talking about no superstitious shit. You just was, bringing it up. I don't know if you're a superstitious person yourself, but I just wanted to give my quick and brief take on that. I say it all the time. I'm a Carl Saganist. And he broke down very well. He broke down everything that was wrong with astrology, thinking that where the stars were lined up at night has something to do with your personality here on Earth, where the stars were lined up at night when you were born, that has some kind of effect on your personality here on Earth. And don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's interesting. And I get a little tribalism, Shout out to Obsidian. He always says, Archers of the World Unite. I get that, but as far as actual practical, no, I don't believe that it's something actual and practical could be garnered from any study of astrology. Yeah, it's not an actual science. That's all I'm saying. Just my opinion. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have it. Just not my thing. Jedi Mac in the building. What's going on? I see a lot of super chats coming through, so let me hurry up and get to those. Let me shout out the contributors, sponsors of the show today. I appreciate all of you good brothers. Michael Ross in the building. Shout out to you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Hold on. Okay, at least I know I sound good. At least I know I sound good. I had a little background noise. All right. Young Jay in the building. What's going on, Young Jay? Okay, yeah, you already got a wrench. I've been trying to wrench up to people that be supporting bit by bit here and there that I overlook. I pay more attention to this tablet that's sitting in front of me now, so I be making sure I'm properly wrench. If you're a regular supporter, I would like to wrench you up. Jermaine in the buildings. This is for the million. That's an inside joke from a previous stream. I don't even remember who brought that up, who said it, or why, but somebody mentioned a million midget march. They need to make that happen. And they need to gather up, get down to business of what are they going to call themselves? Are they just going to continue calling themselves little people? Something that's more offensive than midget. That's what they need to get together. Have a million midget march in the midget delegation. They need to have a vote on whether or not they're going to go back to midget, or they're just going to go with or they're going to stick with little people. I say they need to go with midget. That's just my vote. I don't get a vote because I'm not a midget. But if I had a vote, that's where my vote would be. Go back to midget, because little people is just weird. Little people is just weird. They could go with vertically challenged. They could go with non-binary height dysphoria. Okay. Corey Burke's in the building. What's going on, Corey Burke? Says, when you reach a certain age, you have to live for your happiness. I'm divorced. Shout out to the divorcees. We in here. I'm divorced and wake up every day happy. Man, I know that feeling. When I was married, I had more stressful days. Some men feel like they need a woman to validate themselves. Yeah. I've never felt like that. And when I first heard people in this space talking like that, I was like, nah, I don't know if that's the case. But then I started listening to more stuff. It's and yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing that I think, yeah, there are guys that do feel that way. I think a lot of guys get charged up with feeling that way. But yeah, there are certainly some guys who do feel like they need a woman to validate themselves, and they focus on that. I think it's more so, this is probably happening more. More men feel validated by just getting sex from women, being sexually select or sexually alpha or sexually whatever. I think that's more of a thing than saying than the men who think they have to be in a relationship with the woman to feel validated. I think like after my marriage, because a lot of people know my story if you've been listening to my channel, I married my first. There was me and her broke up briefly, and then there was one other person I had, some casual sex with, and me and my ex got back together, and then, got together, stayed together, and was married. So married my first. She was almost my first and only. She wasn't my only, but she was my first. Oh, and I had a girlfriend in high school who we used to have. She was a good Christian girl who gave oral sex to her boyfriend. But those ones. They want to stay a virgin, but they will try to do every other form of sex. As long as they vagina don't get penetrated, they still virgins. They're still pure. They're still pure. I did have one of those in high school. So it was technically 2 other women that I was, involved with. But for the most part, yeah, I did end up marrying my first woman I actually had actual sex with. I was married for umpteen years. Afterwards, when I got single and free, oh yeah, I did feel that validation that people talk about when I was able to get just some casual sex from women. That's a drug. We talked about that on a previous show. That new sex high. I mean, yeah, the new peace leave. You get some new peace leave. It's like a certain high you get off of that. It's certain feel good, and I think we're hardwired to feel that. And this is something that's just segued right into what I wanted to get into, starting things off. Corey Burke came back again with another one. Shout out to Corey Burks. Says, men realize you are the prize. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat. Soul Provider speaks. He says, for the coffee fund. The coffee is well funded over here. Actually, I take that back. I am running low. I am running low. I am going to have to get another bucket. Ah, shit. Didn't put enough cream in that. That tastes like ass. People who drink black coffee is just weird. Like if you can sit there like this guy I work with and drink 6 cups of black coffee, as far as I'm concerned, like he would, per day, damn near before lunch, he's had like 6 cups of black coffee. You on drugs at that point. You're not just, just subtly just, drinking coffee. It tastes good. It wake you up. It gets you going. No. You have a drug problem. I heard a woman say she was drinking 6 pots a day. Well, she said that she used to be on cocaine, and then she went from cocaine to drinking 6 pots of coffee a day. Do the math. She was still on cocaine. That much coffee equals up to cocaine, whatever cocaine is doing. But, what was I getting at? Thanks, Soul Provider. Appreciate it. The sexual validation piece, and whether or not we actually feel like, we need to get that. I don't think men are feeling that type of validation by being in a relationship. But when it comes to that sex, yeah, that sexual validation is a real thing. The new sex high, the new peace leave high is a real thing. Like you get buzzed off that junk. You feel good. It's like the conquest, the accomplishment of it. That, you have sex with the same woman regularly, it can get old. No matter how bad she is, it can get old. You get a piece of new ass, it just, it feels good. Can't explain it. We're hardwired that way. Well, actually, I can't explain it. We're hardwired that way. In the animal kingdom, and we are mammals, let's just put that out there. Sorry, SKC, we are mammals. I know he's a young earth creationist who believes that the universe started in a garden 6 years ago with a talking snake and a magical piece of fruit. Bless his heart. I'm sitting here trolling SKC from my soapbox up here. Shout out to SKC. I love having religious theological debates with SKC. He says black coffee drinker, but the good stuff. Hint, buy premium coffee, folks. Nah. Just buy regular coffee. Coffee is coffee is coffee. He says, ain't nothing weird about black coffee, bruh. Yeah, okay. It tastes like earwax, but okay. It tastes like earwax in butthole. I ain't never had no earwax before. Oh man, I know it's like 2 people who get that one. It was a Bernie Mac joke way back when he was on Def Comedy Jam. Way back, many moons ago, long time ago. When Bernie Mac was on Def Comedy Jam, he said, a woman asked me, and this was back when eating pussy wasn't really fashionable, that guys weren't just talking about it. you know, he was like, you know, he said a woman asked me, she was like, Bernie, do pussy taste like pumpkin pie? He said, oh, don't ask me no stupid ass question like that. I ain't never had no pumpkin pie. That's why I said black coffee tastes like earwax and ass. Well, how would I know? I ain't never ate no earwax. Kick ass. All right, for the few people that remember that. Black's word 404. I'm trying to get into the topic. Y'all coming through with the super chats. I appreciate it, though. These women won't take us serious until black men leave. Oh, right on. Mr. Shane Vicious in the building. To answer your question is yes, MGTOW, SYSBM. But if you're SYSBMing, are you really walking away? When you're walking away from Keisha. Shout out to Zero. We had a great stream called Walk Away from Keisha. Our Star Wars in the building. You have to try nitrogen infused coffee. I can't talk this morning. Nitrogen infused coffee. Have no idea what that is. Shout out to our Star Wars for the super chat. And Shane Vicious back with another one. Where we at? He says, Bernie, you don't like, I think that's cream and sugar. I don't know what you don't like. I don't know what that is. Have sugar in your coffee. You don't like to have sugar in your coffee. What are you? Nice one. I see what you did there. Man, I gotta have cream and sugar. Actually, I've been trying to get off the sugar, so I go with like some flavored cream. This is what I got right now. See, this cream, it says 0 sugar on it. I'm doing a little commercial. Ding. No, it says 0 sugar on it, but it's like vanilla caramel flavored. So that way I don't feel the need to put sugar in it to give it some type of sweetness. That's how you can have coffee without the calories or without as many calories. This has 15 calories per serving, but it's like 1 billion servings in this. No, it's 140 servings in here. So there's really no calories in the coffee by itself. So with the if I put like 3, teaspoons in there, I'm at like 45 calories for a cup of coffee. That ain't bad. Versus if you just, put a lot of regular cream and sugar in it, 1 cup of coffee can get you up to 200 calories. You have 2-3 of those, and that's 600 calories that you just drank during your work day. Then not to mention, you probably had a soda or some juice with your lunch. That's another 200 plus calories. When you had dinner, you probably had, some more soda or juice. That's another 200-300 calories you're adding on. And then if you had your cocktail or cocktails with quains, you have your actual drink, you tacking on. So long story short, at the end of the day, in the unholy name of watching calories, a lot of people don't realize that they drink like 1,400 calories a day. I lost weight before just getting rid of all of my liquid calories. I still ate how I ate, but I just eliminated all liquid calories and I started losing weight. So that's a good place to start. If you're trying to get in shape, you're trying to lose weight, trying to keep the pounds off, a great place to start is see if you can eliminate your liquid calories. And then between sugar or carbs, when you eliminate those liquid calories, you're getting rid of a lot of sugar. And then either sugar or carbs, pick one of those. If you can do without bread and fries, get rid of those carbs. If you can do without your candy bars and jelly beans or whatever snacks you like to snack on, get rid of that. But start out with just liquid calories and then kind of work your way down to the junk, getting rid of the junk food. You do that right there. You eliminating potentially 2,000 calories, depending on how much junk and candy bars and shit you like to eat. That's a little quick, easy tip. Like half the battle is just liquid calories and and sweets. You get rid of that. You in the building. Then you can work on, getting rid of carbs. And you get sugar, carbs, and liquid calories off the table. You home free after that. That's what has worked for me. It's not working right now because it only works if you work it. And you win some, you lose some, and I've been losing a lot of them, but I'm working on it. It's a daily process. To drink black coffee straight is the same as drinking black tea with cocaine in it. Yes, I agree. That got me all over the place. I'm 26 minutes in. Let me get started. That no sugar shit tastes like struggle. Sometimes that's accurate. Sometimes I give you that. Yep. You just said what I said in 4 words. You said it. Don't drink your carbs. Do not drink your carbs. Yep. Very, very simply put. Don't drink your carbs. All right. So, like I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, we are hardwired through evolution to want to have sex with a lot of bitches. That's just reality. That's reality. We are hardwired to want to do that. There's a high in doing that. It's something that feels good about it. Mating success for a mammal. Let's just take humans out of the equation. Let's take culture and civilization and all of that out of the equation. Mating success for a male mammal, pretty much any species, but just worry about mammals. They're more closely related to us and more similar to us. Mating success is yes, as many partners as possible, to spread your DNA as far and wide as possible. So even at the base level, male mammals are hardwired to do that. They on autopilot, just constantly doing that. If they can spread their seed, mate with 50 females of the species, that's mating success. Mating success for a woman is, for a female of the same species, is to get her egg fertilized by the most suitable male, by the best possible male, So when you talk about the imbalance and all the dynamics that's out here, holy shit. Make me feel good, Oscar winner Halle Berry. What do they got to do anything? Judge, what the hell do they got to do with anything? You said they don't hear me. They do hear me. I wouldn't be on this long if I wasn't being heard. I think you mean they don't understand or they don't get what I'm saying. I think you mean they ain't feeling it. I think that's what you mean. But for the woman, it's the best possible mate. The best possible mate that she can get. That's what mating success is for a woman. For a female of any species, taking humans out of the equation. That's mating success for the female. The best possible mate she can get. For the guy, it is how many? It's the numbers. How many can you spread your seed with? You take a male of a species, you put 50 females in front of him, he wants to impregnate all 50 of them. You put a female of a species in front of 50 males, she wants to get with the absolute best one of those. So she doesn't even see the remaining balance. They don't even exist unless they can kill the one that she thought was the best, and she's like, okay, I guess he's the best then. Tournament mating, And that brings me back to something that Obsidian covered, and this is going to lead into the main topic of is walking away the only viable option. Something that Obsidian covered to do Hafez from the Roommates podcast. Obsidian did a breakdown, and I was going to do the same thing Obsidian did, but I just didn't get around to it, so I'm just de facto doing it right now. Go one, Pablo. He said, bruh, have you seen some of these women? All 50, hell to the nah. I took human civilization, culture, and modern shit off of it. That's why I said male of a species, female of a species. That's how I wanted to get modern day social humans growing up on McDonald's out of the equation. And yeah, I wanted to take all that out of the equation. Yeah, I understand. You got a point, Pablo. I understand. That's why I took Mortal Kombat. But that's why I took that off of there. But he said I ain't doing all 50 now. I do about 27 of them. About 27 of them. Top 10, maybe. And you're right, Complex. The best one is subjective. She's choosing. She's choosing is based on her perception of who's best. Looking at what women choose, yeah, shit is subjective. I agree 100%. But ideally, that's the idea. That's the notion. That's why that goes back to something that I talk a lot about things that we're hardwired to do, hardwired through evolution, and how sometimes what we're hardwired to do doesn't line up with what makes sense in a modern civilization, right? The strong, rambunctious, loud, aggressive, skull-cracking dude today, yeah, thousands of years ago, yeah, he may have been the best ideal. We can understand why women, in the treacherous times that that our species evolved in, we could see why they would be hardwired to see that guy as the most viable. It takes higher level thinking to look at, someone who may not have that, but is intelligent. He may build a better mousetrap. But at the primal level, yeah, I can see why they would be hardwired to do that. But in modern times, with weapons being the ultimate equalizer in your intelligence, that can be monetized, and you can make money, and you can get a woman in a safer environment to where she don't need to be protected by the skull busser because she's in a gated community somewhere, then yes, higher level thinking says the intelligent guy at the base level, what we're hardwired or we're hardwired to want. Not saying that it's a good idea. I've heard that argument made by a woman actually in this space, that she's saying women are hardwired. They're naturally more attracted to the guy with more testosterone. So you really can't criticize their decisions. It's science. They automatically hardwired to want that. That doesn't mean we can't still say, yeah, this guy with a criminal record and no job who's just trying to sleep on your couch and blow your back out, that's a bad decision for your life and the life of your future children with this guy. We can analyze that, but and then the trump card is testosterone. She can't help it. It's science. Okay, so you don't expect her to make a rational decision that's a good decision based on modern civilization and what's conducive to a functioning, flourishing life for you and your children. So you don't expect her to do that, not just for you and your children, but for you and for her children, and society as a whole. You don't expect her to make that good decision. Well, okay, let's play ball then. It's science. Men are attracted to fertility. That's science. A young, fertile woman. Okay, so you should be okay because it's science, we're attracted to fertility. Who's more fertile than an 18-year-old? So, okay, so you should be okay with some 30, but by that argument, if we follow your logic, you should be okay with some 35-year-old guy circling around high schools trying to find somebody, 17, about to turn legal in another month. You should be okay with that. It's science, but no. You expect him to make a good, modern, civilized decision, and him doing that can be bad for obvious reasons that I don't even got to get into. So if we just go with science and what we're hardwired by without looking at consequences in a modern world, then that opens up for all kinds of fuckery. Because we're attracted to fertility. Yeah. Women or girls in their late teens are the most fertile. You won't accept that argument, and I won't either, by the way. I don't care. The legal age of consent in Michigan is 16. I live in Michigan. I'm not messing with a 16-year-old. Even though her youth and fertility is what men are naturally hardwired to be most attracted to, it's not a good idea for society, for her, for anything, for some grown man, unless he come in with ring in hand trying to marry her. It's not it's a bad move for her to even be, to be fooling around with that. And it's a bad move for him. It's a bad move for everything. So that's why the science argument never works when somebody tries to use science to try to justify a bad decision. So I want to make it clear in this discussion, I'm not justifying bad decisions based off science and what we're hardwired to want and what we're hardwired to do. I'm just pointing out that, things can be explained, going back to what Obsidian, when he covered Hafez. A lot of those things, when Hafez talked about how delusional I made bad decisions because of science. No. That don't work. How can black men support a racist? Huh? What the hell are we talking about here? All right, anyway. What was I talking about? Kept trying to make a point about Hafez from the roommates. Oh, yeah. When he was going on and on about how men are delusional, but all of the data, all of the science shows that females are the most pickiest sex. So if there's an imbalance when it comes to relationships not working, when it's an imbalance when it comes to divorces being filed, when it's imbalance when it comes to just the overall sexual market, I see streams where people are talking about why aren't average people getting with average people? Okay, the average guy, you put 50 women in front of him. The average male of a species, I want Pablo to clap back on me. The average male of a species, you put 50 females in front of him, he's going to find damn near all 50 of them viable for mating and even procreating. I'm not talking about humans, I'm talking about mammals. He's going to find all 50 of them viable. The female, you put 50 males in front of her, she's trying to figure out which one is the absolute best one, and that's the one that she wants. So it's like the imbalance can never be blamed on men. Like, we can see it socially, nightlife at the bar, guy, the whole thing, at 10 o'clock, we want a 10, at 2 o'clock, we'll take a 2. Like, how men get down. So I just found that stream he did absolutely, utterly ridiculous. Talking about Hafez from the roommates. When talking about men are just as delusional as women. You're talking about the members of the species who will accept damn near anything. It was unfathomable that he would even attempt to make that argument. Sir Tyson in the building. He says, if you're not culturally socialized for order, disorder will prevail. The late Gen X and millennial stateside culture comes from media. Big Mama died in the 90s. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Big Mama died in the 90s. That was what, hell, it might have been you that said that in response to Gasoline Maxine or whoever it was that was saying they gonna tell Big Mama on us. She gonna wave her finger at us for voting for Trump. Thanks for the super chat, Sir Tice. Appreciate that. Multiple personalities. Been true everywhere in the U.S. since I was in high school in the 90s. Hit the goddamn like button, good people. It's only 91 likes. That ain't terrible because we almost at 50%. Almost at 50%. We should be able to bump that up to 120. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get that up. Let's get that up. Let's get that up. Let's get the likes on up. So there's clearly an imbalance. We talk about the 80-20 rule, even though it's not full-blown proven, but there's all kinds of data that comes up with it that kind of shows that's close. That closely reflects that that top 20% of guys got access essentially to 80% of women, and then there's a bottom group of guys who got access to a lower tier. But anyway, it's a lot of funny factors that come into the conversation when you looking at the imbalance in the whole sexual marketplace and how it all works out and how it all plays out. We talk about how most men are single and childless. Most black men are single and childless. We talk a lot about that. And I've heard some of the rebuttals to that, which are kind of weird when I hear them, because they say, well, they don't really know because most black men don't sign the birth certificate. Well, I don't think if most black men don't sign the birth certificate, but that's what they're saying. But even if there's a percentage that don't sign the birth certificate, it's almost as if they're saying, how do they know for sure that the birth certificate checking methodology is the method that they use to determine how many black fathers that it is? And even if the black father is not signing the birth certificate, so are you saying that they just chalking it up to immaculate conception? If the mother is black and the child's race is black, they can assume that the dad is black. So how do you know that they're taking that black child from a black mother, which clearly would have had to have had a black father? They're putting that into one. They're just going to write it up as immaculate conception and not put that one in the column for a dad having a kid. And so if you put that one in the column, how do you know that it's not some guy who ain't signing no birth certificates that put like 9 or so in that column? So it could be less or it could be more, that the stats could be showing more than what it's supposed to be if they're just chalking that up to just one black dad. So it's like I don't even think they confirmed the methodology before they made their rebuttal. But even if we accept their methodology, it's only a couple different options. Either a baby was born with a black mother and the race of the baby is black, but they just chalked it up to immaculate conception, or they counted that as one black dad having a kid. It's a weird thing. But once they start using that birth certificate thing, it gets weird. It gets weird because they don't know or have not confirmed that the only way that we know if a father is a father is by checking birth certificates and counting how many names did we see on all the birth certificates that we check. Therefore, we can conclude that that's how many fathers it is. They didn't even confirm that methodology before they used that methodology to try to refute an argument. Race equals not science. Okay, cool. Holy shit, I accidentally clicked on infantry skills. That was an accident. I just inspired him to spam the chat. I remember when Zero tried to out-spam him that one day. That shit was funny. Let me pull this up. Yo, Simon, you ain't have to hide him. New unhit him. That's cool. You ain't have to hide him, but Blexit. And I'm trying to keep the chat under control. I mean, I'm going to make probably do it right when I get off the air. Going to make some buzzwords that can't be said in the chat. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to clean it up, but I don't know how clean. I don't know how clean I want it to be. This thing is still young. I don't know what I got. When you don't know what you got, you don't want to. It's like a cool party just getting started. You know, it ain't even midnight yet. You're trying to put rules and regulations on it. You know, it's like I kind of just want to let it play out and see what I got. But at the same time, got to protect the channel. Leo Anthony says he think he was throwing a female audience a bone. I think that's what Hafez was definitely doing right there. At least I believe that's what you were referring to. Yeah, it was definitely throwing him a bone. Even when he did his interview with Kevin Samuels, he was he kept trying to steer the conversation to men being delusional and holding out for dimes. And Kevin Samuels, you know, touched on it, but cut him off basically and said, no, this is actually what the problem is actually women being delusional, 10 times more delusional. And Hafez just looked with disbelief. You know, it's like you could tell he wanted cape for women. You know, he said something. All right, shit, I feel halfway bad. I don't want to go in on the brother. But since we're here. Check this out. This sort of lets you know that he don't quite get it. All right, here we go. Wait, hold on. I don't got it shared for you. There we go. All right. He says, get the 10 steps to healthy manhood course now. Now, keep in mind, they built a platform off other stuff, but now he's trying to get in the dating coach for men realm, the male dating coach for men. But he ain't really, you know, when we look at alpha male strategies, look at Steph's Code, we look at those guys, Donovan Sharp, you know, it's like a different thing going on there. Like you could tell that they red pill men who lived it, who walked it, and now they talking it. And this is, when you look at this cat, it's like he started out doing, you know, completely different type of content. He trying to transition into this. So he taking very basic cookie cutter stuff and he don't got the lingo right. Like listen to this. And I know Obsidian would have a field day on this one, but Obsidian see this, Obsidian probably do a whole stream on this because it's just kind of weird. But okay, but just look at what's being said here. Men, it's time to level up. I don't know if any men are talking about leveling up. Like that's female lingo, that level up talk. You know, men, we say get on your purpose, get on your grind, you know, use the term self-improvement, you know, but level up, he might as well say get the bag. Like, I mean, okay, but men, it's time to level up. Become the man that you always wanted to be. If you are ready to join the 1% of men who are leveling up. Where did he get the idea that only 1% of men are leveling up, and how the hell is he defining leveling up for a man, and how do you figure only 1% are doing it? Like, I mean, is he counting that on how many men are working hard and industrious, trying to improve themselves every day. And how many of those men are in the gym? How many it is? Like, what are you talking about? 1%. So it's like he's just throwing out shit. That's what male dating coaches for women do. They just throw out unfound stats and feel goodery. Men who are leveling up and putting in the work to get the women, life, and respect they deserve. If that's not female lingo and rhetoric to level up to get the woman, the lifestyle, and the hold on, let me make sure I get it right. To get the woman, the life, and respect they deserve. You remember that article? Obsidian used to cover the article. It said something along the lines of, why aren't black women getting the love that they deserve, or something like that? And the immediate response is, who the hell said they deserve it? Who, like, so he's talking to men, but using the same buzzwords, phrases, and verbiage that women, that the shit that make women perk up. So it's like he's trying to get in this market, and I don't even think he know what he's doing. Like that's like that the way he worded that. The way he worded that right there. Hold on. The way he worded that right there. That's how Derek Jackson talked to delusional black women. Now, what kind of men are he trying to talk to like that? But he builds such a big audience doing other shit to where of his already big audience, he probably will be able to get 2-3% of them to come and get his manhood training. But he's given them very cookie cutter, stuff that don't, I don't know. It just don't sound right. Like, it just don't sound right. Probably good intentions, but it just sounds very Derek Jackson-ish, trying to say the right things to women to get it just right. The part that I highlighted right there. To get the woman, life, and respect they deserve. Like, men have a good general understanding that they get back what they put in. Like, men understand that. We don't just think that we're just deserving of something just by fiat, just like, because we were told we were awesome. So therefore we deserve it. So it's like some weird stuff going on there. Men, it's time to level up and get the bag. It's talking, okay. And become the man you always wanted to be. If you are ready to join the top 1% of men who are leveling up and putting in the work to get the woman, life, and respect they deserve. Men understand that it's a certain things that you don't deserve until you, let's assume by leveling up, you mean putting in the hard work to be accomplished, successful, and achieve your goals in life. You know, there's a certain thing. There's certain things that don't come with it until you accomplish that stuff. Now, you still can, you still should get basic, man respect. A woman still should respect you. I mean, if, you're walking down the street and something just, happened, yeah, you're the man on the scene, you're expected to react, so for that reason, women should be respecting every man. But he's talking about something more when he's saying that to get the woman, the life, and respect they deserve. He's saying that they just deserve it just by mere just he's saying that they deserve it in the same context that that black women talk about in their articles and their things that we're not getting what we deserve. Well, who the hell said you deserve it, man? Tend to understand that they deserve what they get back what they put in. We have a healthy understanding that, if I make this much per hour and I put in this many hours of work, I'm going to get back this much money. If I spend this much time at the gym, I expect this much of a result. If I cut back on my diet and my food, and I do, I'm going to expect to lose perhaps this much weight. If I work this hard and take the incremental steps in growing a business, I should expect to get back or reap the benefits based off the work I put in, pending on whether or not my business model and my way that I worked it all together came together just right, and I met the, supplied the demand of a market. Like, men generally understand that. But so he's talking to men like women, it seems, which is weird. So I'll be watching his dating coach, his newfound dating coach career in the clouds. I'll be watching that in the clouds. But it is a weird thing. It is a weird thing going on there. But enough of that. That ain't what I came. Well, I came here to touch on. Yeah, I almost said I came here to touch on him. I came here to touch on one of his streams. Mr. Shane Vitchett says Obama and Harris shows the potential of Mr. Shane Vitchett, you've been throwing bombs. You've been throwing haymakers lately. You've been throwing some haymakers lately. God damn. That was up there for a minute. I didn't even read it. I think I missed somebody's super chat. Oh, wait, Judge Zilla. You're choking me. Oh, shit. Damn, I took my water upstairs. Damn it. I ain't got my water with me. I can't even repeat that shit, man. I'm not even going to repeat it. In my mind, I was about to get in full character and read that, but no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, but I see exactly what you did there, and that's funny as hell. Big Mac in the building. What's going on? Judge, you a goddamn fool. What up, Big Mac? Salute to you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Mr. Shane Vicious made a point that's gonna chap the hide of a lot of black women who was, I did a late night stream last night talking about the cocktails with Queens. Did a late night stream last night. Just played, clips of the cocktails with Queens and responded to it and whatnot. And it was funny because they were talking about how they felt when Obama got in and versus how they felt when Kamala got in as vice president. They was talking about all of that. And then Mr. Shane Vicious said something along the lines, I wonder how those black women who are celebrating feel about the mere fact that the first black president and the first black vice president, neither of them had a black mother. Dun, dun, dun. Look what I got. I got a little sound. This will be my little sound effect thing, but I don't know how to hook it up right. I might have to go get another one and get an easier setup. But probably work better with Zoom. I don't know. But after I said that, I wanted to have the sound effect of dun, 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 ready to go. But yeah. But yeah, that's but that was an interesting point. I missed some super chats. I apologize for that. Thanks for letting me know that I missed some super chats. Hey, I see yours right there. Yeah, see, I was looking at the screen with Hafez and I didn't see that. He says what he doesn't get is that you can't be a red pill dating coach while simultaneously care about female value. Ooh. You can't be a red pill dating coach while simultaneously care about female validation. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn accurate. And he definitely comes off like that. Thanks for letting me know that I missed some super chats. Ambush came through, says he's making a how to be a simp training camp. Okay. Yeah. I think it's some good that will come out of whatever he's doing because he's talking about men getting on a grind, getting on a purpose, working out, doing this, doing the work to get what it is that you want. But as I have argued, that men typically have a healthy understanding of where they're at and what they're going to get based off the work that they put in. Men, at least I think we have a healthy understanding of that. You have to go to chat rooms. Shout out to ARC. He said when he was hanging around it was before my time. I'm not before my time, but before I was even paying attention to any of this stuff. The PUA hate, or something. I forgot. Basically, he was in some places where I think there was some incels who were, yeah, there's a noisy contingent of losers out there who say they'll only accept a 9 or a 10. Like, I mean, it's some socially, it's there. It's there, but that's not nowhere near the majority of men. I think I proved that earlier. That's why I was spending time talking about that. How a male mammal generally works. The male is not the pickier of the sexes by nature. By nature, we're not the most picky when it comes to finding a mate. B Diddy turning into Funk Flex. Oh yeah. Yeah, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing though. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm working on it, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Trying to get it together. Coach Ali's Corner in the building. He says, what's good? But now I just wanted to show some love driving up to the SAG right now. Okay, that's what's up. You in my hometown. That is what's up. That is what's up. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You said you're from here, if I'm not mistaken. I think you said you're from here and then you moved to Detroit. That is what's up. That is what's up. Okay, it says, good morning, everyone. It's never a good morning when you're here. It was a good morning until you showed up. Sister George, I was about to give you your wrench back, but it's like every time that I tried to do it, it was like I would get like some weird like arthritis, and I couldn't. Every time I tried to give you your wrench back, it's like I would lock up. My fingers would be stuck like that. They would just lock up, and I wasn't able to click. So I just took it as the Lord was trying to tell me something. If I kept getting arthritis every time I tried to give you your wrench back, I couldn't. Yeah, see how they good now. As soon as I would try, they would lock up, and yeah, so. Must be the Lord telling me something. That's all. Just, Anyway. Broke Genius in the building. He says, yeah, I might as well screw and get it over with. I like a new frontier. I'm not trying to boldly go where many men have gone before. All right. All right. There's something said. Hey, don't hate on rental cars. Anyway, changing the subject. Saladin El Rahim says he's spitting beta butt crap to men. He's far too young and unlearned to coach men. I agree. He yeah. Yeah, he's spitting that beta buck crap to men. Yeah, he should change. He should call it beta male strategies. That's somebody made that joke, fairly or unfairly made that joke about Obsidian, because Obsidian was talking about men providing, or as people say, lead with your wallet, which I don't even know what that means, to lead with your wallet. Obsidian was talking about, oh yeah, man, should be providing, should be paying all the bills within reason, but and they said like that's some beta buck shit, and they was like that. They called it beta male strategies. Now, beta male strategies is funny. That's just that's some funny stuff that that somebody needs to explore. All right. Where was I? Hit the like button on the way in. We are doing aight on the likes. Actually, we're not doing bad on the likes. We over 50%, which is good to be over 50% at the 1 hour mark. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it pushing. Keep it going. Let's keep it pushing. It says infantry stopped focusing on the media. The brothers I roll with aren't affected by the media. We're paid. We travel. We rock MAGA. Do the math. As a judge with a good one. All right, where was I? I was somewhere. I forgot. I was somewhere. Doug says beta male strategies already exist. Perhaps. I was leading to something. Is walking away the only viable option? Is the topic. I was leading into it, just talking about how, there's an imbalance out there. It's clearly an imbalance out there when the MGTOWs of the world, or not even just MGTOWs, just red pill men in general, when they give their analysis of the dating and mating market, I think for the most part, regardless of where you're at, regardless of whatever flag you wear, whether it's MGTOW, IPMOR, SYSBM, if you just red pill, whatever, I think, there are some inaccuracies, some inconsistencies that float around. Some dudes throw some bad arguments out there, but overall, we, for the most part, as a community of men putting our heads together, I think we, for the most part, get it right when talking about the dating and mating game. There's a percentage of men who, yes, they can win at it, but in the long run, are they really winning? You know, there are fine arguments on many sides with that. It came in, people were talking about depends on what you want and what you're looking for, and all of those things. And the walk away aspect of it, I always interpreted that as just an individual thing. It wasn't until Zero that I heard somebody explain walking away from a perspective of just literally just full blown starving the beast. And one thing that I said to him, and he's given a response to it, and I understood the response, but it was kind of a long-winded response that, you know, that walking away in the context that he's talking about, where the collective of men that got, you know, they shit together, just basically walk away from American women, you ultimately starving the beast. And I'm like, no, in the post-second wave of feminist world, I don't think that's going to do anything. I think that's just going to make them double down on whatever they're already doing. If it's an 80-20 rule, it's going to turn into just a 90-10 rule, and they'll just get more strong, independent, don't need no man, even though they're doing bad statistically. It'll just turn into more of the same thing. Then there's the Black community aspect of it. Do you give a damn about the community? Now, I'm one of the ones that do. I do actually want to see Black people do better. I remember SKC. This is one of the first conversations I ever had with SKC, or one of the first times I was on a panel with SKC, and he said something along the lines of, if you had to choose, what would you rather see make it to the, you know, the next generation 50 years from now, when you're 80 years old, you're looking back at, you know, America, what would you rather have? Would you rather have your ideas, your morals and your principles still exist, or would you rather have Black people still exist? And he was asking that question in a way like he's okay with Black people ceasing to exist in America. Now, there's some data that shows eventually that's what it's going to come to. It won't be no Black or no white. We know that, SKC. We know you give no crap. Eventually, it will get to a point where there is no Black and there is no white. So in the future, that's a thing. They talk about by, you know, 20 years or so, white people will be an official minority in this country, maybe sooner. Well, minority only in the sense that if you count everybody else as, you know, if you count everybody else as one race and white people as their own separate race, which is kind of racist. But so anybody who's saying white people be a minority, that's not quite right. Walking away insinuate, Mr. Shane Victor says walking away insinuates insinuates. I gotta quit looking ahead. Walking away insulates you from the fuckery. That's the important thing. That's why BFF isn't a major issue for me. Not for me either in my personal life. But it just turns into what you care about, you know. I remember when David Johnson was debating not David Johnson, David Monroe was debating MOT, and Hood Conservative was, you know, accurately saying, you talk about everything that's so culturally wrong with these women, then you talk about how you know, is it then how can you go there and how can you vote with them? How can you essentially vote to enable them? And he said the simple solution is simple. I just don't deal with them. And then, you know, the Hood Conservative said, okay, that fixes, you know, that solves the problem in your house, but it don't solve the overall problem. The problem still exists. Your house is good, but when you look out the window, it's a Black community in the distance burning to the ground. So that's an aspect of it. You know, do you care about that? And I understand that some people don't. But I don't think we will be here all day talking about Black people in the Black community if we didn't care about it, if we didn't actually want to see it do better. But it's so entangled in there that the Black community doing better means we got to do better by these bitches. We gotta make them happy. We gotta give them what they want. That's how so many people look at it, and I think the Black community doing better by not giving them what they want. Them getting what they want or what they thought they wanted is part of the downfall of it. Second wave of feminism and welfare. And shout out to Zero because he talked about how the civil rights movement, there was a lot of welfare embedded in that. And he showed the little graphs on how the more welfare they gave, the more the marriage rate went down. The more they created a way to where a woman didn't need a man, the less families we had. The less families we had, the more single mamas we had. The more single mamas we had, we know the stats with single mamas and so forth and so on. When the stats with single mamas and how the kids turn out, and then more kids turned out wrong, and then everything was just wrong. And we're in the post-apocalyptic aftermath. I'm going to continue to say that. He says, the people who truly care about the community in word, indeed, are rare. That's true. Because the people who talk about it like they care, they also are the ones that spray a lot of deodorant, cologne, and perfume on all the shit in the community, put on a cape for the criminals or for the bad behavior, make excuses for the bad behavior. They do all of that. Make all those excuses for all sorts of degenerate behavior, blame the white man, blame this, blame that, blame everything they could possibly blame. Make excuses for it. And we see it all the time. And that's one thing that I do. I try to break down a lot of those excuses and why they are wrong. For example, Black men have, been blamed for a lot of shit. And then the Black manosphere comes around and then gives and then ultimately puts the mirror in front of Black women, and then we hear things like, oh, they have an excuse for doing that because 1 in 3 of them were sexually assaulted in some type of way between the age of before the age of 18. You look up the total stats, it's 1 in 3 across the board with women in this country were sexually assaulted in some way before the age of 18. So the stats get funny and fuzzy. My stream that's on my Patreon page called Weaponizing Stats, I broke that down. Indigenous TV says, just walk away. They'll just run to Brad because he's fast becoming the cleanup man for Black women's bad choices. Ask DJ Kid. He'll tell you, no, DJ Kid wasn't no cleanup man. If anything, if he really did have raw sex with 600 Black women, it's statistically probable that he impregnated some of them, and some Black dude is being the cleanup man after DJ Kid. So no. He wasn't the cleanup man. He was the make a mess man. He wasn't cleaning up shit. But make sure y'all hitting the like button on the way in. And also, I had to update that Patreon list that's scrolling down on the screen. I have that accurate. Those are all actual current and actual Patreons. So shout out to all of you who are Patreons. I appreciate that. We had an hour, 15 minutes. We're going to open this up soon, but I do want to make sure that I really get on the point of the walking away. Okay. When you're talking about walking away, I understand it from the perspective of a guy not being duty bound by traditional norms if it doesn't personally fit his life. That is, a healthy use of MGTOW philosophy. You You don't got to feel duty bound to do anything that you don't want to do. You simply do what it is that you want to do and live your life by your own rules. And if, that's a healthy use of MGTOW philosophy in my estimation. Shout out to Nick Penn. And Jackie's Retro got a good question in there. He says, is there even a community? Is there even a community? Let's see. Let's get down to the bottom of that. We're about to get down to the bottom of that. When I type in community, the first suggestion is community of women. Let that sink in. Okay, a TV show named Community. I'm just trying to get defined community. All right, here we go. Here we go. We're about to get down to the bottom of this. Is a Black community a community? I'm about to get down to the bottom of this one for you, Jackie's Retro. I think I said it right. All right. Group of people. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Y'all can't. Now you damn near can. All right, let's get down to it. Let's get down to the bottom of this. Group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. A feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. A group of people. Black community is a group of people living in the same place. Okay, they live in they do live in the same place, but it is kind of scattered all over the place because that's one of the problems with Black community is Black people who are worth a damn and got their shit together. They tend to leave and go buy a nice house somewhere, and where the nice house is at, a lot of their neighbors tend to not be Black, even though there are a lot of middle and upper middle class Black communities sprinkled all over the place. When we think of the Black community, we tend to think of the hood. When we think of the Black community, we tend to think of those that don't have the ability to make it out of a bad situation, and we call that the community. But in a broader sense, we do kind of look at the in a broader sense. Trade MVD says, according to that, hooray, I don't have to come to the cookout. But in a broader sense, we do tend to look at anybody that's Black is in the Black community. I know that's weird, but it just seems like that. It's always people who, shout out to Gasoline Maxine. She was she was kind of exposed during this she won, but her opponent, whose name just slipped my mind, it kind of exposed the notion that she don't live in her district or whatever, but she's still saying our community. So there's that. There's people who get successful, move away from the community with air quotes, and they still belong to the community. They're still a part of the community. They still say that, at least. But a group of people living in the same place, yes, that's black people, a group of people living in the same place, are having a particular characteristic in common. I think they have characteristics in common. So, um, so they fit the first definition, a feeling of fellowship. I suppose there's some fellowship, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, or lack thereof. Okay, it doesn't say or lack thereof, but I think there is a black community. I don't. I've heard people argue that there is no black community, but no, I think by definition there is. I think by definition there certainly is. Just like it's almost like saying a basketball team that's not particularly a good basketball team is not a basketball team. Oh no, they still play. They lace them up and play. They just not winning no games. They're still a basketball team. So that's why I don't think you can just so readily say that. That's why I don't think you could just so readily say that there is no black community. I'm open to be convinced on that one because that is interesting. That is interesting. And I never looked at it as leaving. Okay. I never looked at somebody getting with somebody of a different race as they've left the community. Because like I said before, when I first got married, my ex-wife was black. So I was married to a black woman and we was living in a black neighborhood. We was living in an all-black neighborhood. You know, then we ended up, over time, 3 kids. So we moved. And then we moved into a bigger house, a bigger, nicer house. We was making more money, doing better, so we could afford a bigger, nicer house. And most of our neighbors happened to be white, other than one black family down at the corner. They actually moved in after us. So when we first moved there, all our neighbors was white. But we were still black. I mean, I don't know. We still did black stuff and went to black functions and was around black people most of our, time going out and about doing stuff. So I didn't look at it like we left the community. We didn't shed our black skin. So that's a weird thing when people talk about leaving the community. Like if I was in an exact similar situation, like for example, when I first moved into my first house around all black people, if I would have married a non-black woman, would that be considered that I left the community because I was sticking my penis in a non-black woman? Like, how does that work? How does that work, that leaving the community thing? I don't particularly understand that. It's almost like it's a natural process, a thing that you naturally do when you get a little older and make a little more money and buy a nicer house. And if you're in the area, in a city that don't have a bunch of more affluent middle or upper middle class black neighborhoods, you're just going to buy a nice house that's suitable for you. If your neighbors are white, they happen to be white. I don't think that means you left the community in the dust. Like, no, you bought a house that you could afford that was suitable for your family. That's why I've never really understood the whole leaving the community aspect of it. So the black community is the Washington Generals. Yeah. There you have it. I remember when I went to go see the Harlem Globetrotters play, and they was playing against the Washington Generals as usual. A little part of their shtick that they were doing is they try to keep the game close, so it could be a dramatic game-winning alley-oop. So the kids watching, would be thinking that, oh, they're about to lose. Oh, no. And then they'll, it was a strategically planned, well-coordinated alley-oop that, the Washington Generals are basically stand-in dummies. They just sit back and, it was like a choreographed play and the defense was in on it type of deal. But get this, he missed the game-winning alley-oop. So I technically saw the Harlem Globetrotters lose to the Washington Generals, but get this, they cheated. They called some little goofy foul off the ball so they could run the play again. And then he actually scored. And I was like, no, y'all lost to the Washington Generals and then cheated. Melody, thank you for the super chat. She says, I think they mean leave the country. Well, no, that's what some of them are talking about when they say leave the community. But no, I've heard plenty of them say just getting you a woman of a different race. They talking about, they talk about that leaving the community. All right. I've rambled on. I've done a lot and said a lot on topic and off topic. I'm an hour and 30 minutes in. And y'all know I drops the links. Y'all know I drops the link. Terrell Boxley says, you left the hood. Is a crab argument. You a crab. I'm a crab. You can't leave the crab barrel because they'll never leave that barrel. Yeah, that's a thing where they be talking about, man, you turned your back on the hood. I mean, if by the hood you mean a impoverished area, yeah, if that's what you're talking about, I think people just naturally look. The place that I moved to, every white person couldn't afford to live in that neighborhood. The white people who can afford to live in that neighborhood lived in that neighborhood. They can afford the mortgage on a house in that neighborhood. So that just sort of became the thing. That just sort of what it was. So that in that sense, leaving the community wasn't a concerted effort. But I was trying to came in meaning to talk more about whether or not men should be walking away from women, and is that even a viable option? Like, if people are we pissing the men pissing in the wind, even talking like that? But overall, we went all over the place. I'm an hour and 30 minutes in, so let's hear from Sir Tice. What's going on?
Hey, happy Friday, brother.
Happy Friday to you.
Hey, can you post that link that I just posted in the chat? Because if you could take a look at the title and then determine if you want to post it. But you just made a great last point in that the problem is that the perception that when we hear black, we instantly think hood, negative, of that nature. Okay. And I mentioned this on somebody else's stream, I forget, but I'm not talking about your lowest rung drug dealer, but even mid-level drug dealers, and I'm using the worst of the worst as an example, okay? Just to prove a point on the extreme. They don't want their kids in the same so-called hoods, okay? So it's not about necessarily it's black. It's about what's available to them, or what are the best options for their offspring within a community. And by the way, of course there are black communities. I just posted the link that I posted you was the top 10 black communities in the country. All right.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to find it. You posted that in the chat?
Back chat.
Oh, in the back chat. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm all in the. Okay, let me see.
Of course, we know. I mean, a community is just a group of people who have basically a group of people who share somewhat the same resources. Typically, it used to be having the same values and such. Okay, now it's been reduced to. I've said when you remove men from things where they don't have any boundaries or control from, and you let women handle it. And yes, I'm saying that flat out. You know, this is what you have the chaos that's here. When men can't control the boundings of an area and you let women handle it, that's where it is. But to your point about walking away real quick, I look at it as you expanding your options. And whenever you say that, people always revert back, oh, you running away from black people. Do people realize there's more of us, you know, around the world? We're not just compressed or comprised here, stateside. You know what I mean? So, and this, by the way, I don't want to give all stateside black women the label of being, you know, detrimental or anything. There's some good ones, about 100 of them, or well, Pablo said about 50, you know. But the reality is that yes, as a man, hey, guess what? If you're working in a bad job or bad position, and you say, you know what, I need to change my options. Are you going to be guilted and staying that? You're going to say, no, I got a family to take care of. I got my own things to take care of. So I don't see how anybody is saying, well, you should be looking out for everybody else. If these people who have the same access to resources that you have don't want to do it themselves, what are they going to get it from you?
Right on. Let's see. All right, I'm looking at this and already, you know, I pay attention to optics. Some more of that goofiness. Okay.
Yeah,
10 richest black communities in America. The image that they show is 2 black women. When we know damn well the richest black communities in America are of married couples, a man and woman. Like, come on. Like, the optics matter. I don't mean to trip, but damn. We know we know what the hell it is. There's no.
Hey, you touched on a good point that came up in the chat about the media. I think it was Pastor God that said he's like, we shouldn't ignore the media. Whereas I believe that, okay, if we know that the media is playing games with us, you know, they're showing the worst of the worst to represent us and what have you. What can we? I have my own ideas. What can we do to counter that narrative? And one part is, as I say, you starve that system. Stop feeding that media. Stop buying the advertisers who advertise these type of one-sided images. Now, last I checked, you don't need TV like you need food and water and shelter. But are we willing to break that and at the same time build up our own systems? Now, I think this manosphere is one small part of it, but that's one way I think we can counter that narrative. Us begging to them, you need to show more positive images of us is basically begging your massa.
Oh no, I'm not with that saying they need to show. Damn, hold on. Is that you?
Yeah, my chair is creaking.
Okay. No, I'm with you on that begging them saying you need to show more positive images of us. We need to see more brothers on the wall. But no. I'm gonna acknowledge, you know, some fuckery if I see it. And I just know that it's not even possible that if they were to say there are 10 richest Hispanic communities in America, that they wouldn't just show 2 Hispanic or Latino women sitting there, you know, hugging and smiling. I tend to believe that they wouldn't do that. I tend to believe the person who made that page, or, you know, I tend to believe it was a black woman and she just showed an image of 2 black women, but knowing good goddamn well in those communities, it's more than likely most of those families living in that house are married couples with a black man who more than likely makes more money than the black woman that he's with. So
absolutely,
that's statistically probable, you know. Just looking at what so that's just some goofy shit. And I do know, and hold on real quick. Yeah. And I just want to point out that black men wouldn't do that. Black men wouldn't put up a goofy image like that where they showing the 10 wealthiest black communities in the country, and the first image they show is two black men sitting there like high fiving, bro, yeah, smiling. It's like, no, they would show a black family. So that's just some weird shit to just point out. But no, it's not necessarily anybody's responsibility to depict us better. I agree with that 100%.
Before you go to Pop, you made a good point in that we're gonna be, as black men, we're gonna be considerate of the other side, right? You know, we're gonna want us to depict the best of the best, but they won't. The brother Dennis Sperling yesterday made a great point in that, and I already do this, but he was like, the problem is that you black men don't speak, you don't express your frustrations. You're afraid to be ostracized. And this goes back to the title of your show or whatever. What does that mean? A lot of people are afraid to be ostracized from the same woman that they complain about, which I think is laughable.
Good stuff. Real quick before I go to Pablo, and I'll mute up Sir Tice, mute up because you got, yeah, okay, cool. Indigenous TV in the building. He says, we entertain the thought of leaving the community. They treat us like Cleveland fans treated LeBron when he left for Miami. Well, burn my jersey then. Thanks for the super chat, Indigenous TV. Appreciate that. All right. Pablo, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Bernard?
Another day. What you got?
Well, I feel kind of like a man without a country sometimes, because when they have these discussions, it's always, well, you're leaving the community, or you're leaving the hood behind. Well, I never grew up in the hood. My parents always owned a house. It was always in a nice neighborhood, usually a racially integrated neighborhood. Even when my father passed away, he left enough life insurance for me to go to college. So I'm trying to figure out, where do those of us who don't grow up in, quote unquote, the struggle, where do we fit into all of this? They were going on and on during this election campaign about the 94 crime bill. The 94 crime bill didn't have shit to do with me. I don't have a criminal record. I've never been locked up and put in jail. I don't have any close friends or anybody that I was close, personally close to, that was involved in that lifestyle. What the fuck does that have to do with me?
No, I feel you. And that, that's another thing, another problem, that everything that represents black men, everything that we're supposed to fight for, everything we're supposed to stand up for, it's all related to criminality. Like when I did a stream yesterday, when I was, I did a night stream, I was talking about the, cocktails with the Queens, and they were talking about, white women, following their white husband and voting for Trump. She was like, yeah, y'all feel sympathy for George Floyd, but you ain't exercise that sympathy at the polls, but you was marching with us, and all kind of stuff like that. And it's like, it's like the only dog black men can have in the fight is either you're dead or you're in jail. And that's where the fight is at. So yeah, a lot of us do feel like, we're a man without a country in the political discussion. But that's why I like that a lot of brothers are going conservative, because we will, enter the normal discussion of man talk. I'll call it. We're going to be entering that realm, and that's a good thing, because now we're talking about men and things that men need to do and all of that, instead of just talking about, what's being done to us. Are they doing this? Are they doing that? I'm like, no, man. It's like, that's like, there are some of us that's past that. So like when Jay-Z said, I think we're past kneeling. I mean, yeah, Jay-Z is past kneeling, and there's a lot of us that are past the whole kneeling thing. So that's why I actually did like when he said that, so.
Well, we in the SYSBM community and the Passport Bros, we have another saying. It's called "Stop marching and start packing." Yeah. Stop marching. Start packing.
Right. That's funny. Dig Thug in the building. What's going on? Hold on real quick. Let me check something. All right. Yeah, Dig Thug in the building. He says we must avoid inbreeding. If you live in a close proximity to someone of the same race, odds are that you are eighth cousins. We don't tell each other who we sleep with, and there are less family reunions going on. Okay.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. I'm a little lost on that one. I think it is possible. It is possible that that yes, you, especially if you live in a relatively small city, you might meet somebody that may be your third, fourth, or fifth cousin, and yeah, it problems can ensue. All of that is a possibility. It is. It is no. It's no way around that possibility. But I don't think it's that huge of a possibility to just come out there and say we must avoid inbreeding. Like, I mean, you don't understand. Trying to make an argument to deal with women of other races. I don't know if that's the one that's going to really land with with people. There are better arguments to get people. Expanding their options if that's what your goal was right there. But either way, be that as it may, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming through with the 20 piece. Appreciate it. We got Enemy Nation in the building, who's happily married to a black woman for 39 years. I'm just playing. You ain't been married that damn long, but happily married to a black woman. So yeah, you should have an interesting take on this. So go ahead. You got the flow. You got the mic.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too loud.
No, you good.
Okay.
I do hear there is like a in the background.
Oh,
I don't know if you can get.
that's...
Yeah, I don't know if you can get rid of that or not. If you can't, that's all right. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you have found a correlation between the war on drugs and welfare.
The war on drugs and welfare,
or the black unmarried rate.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, it is a close correlation with that. I mean, coming out of the 60s, the marital rate was high. When they implemented the Great Society Act, the marital rate started gradually going down, mixed with, some feminism and all kind of shit. Yeah, welfare feminism equals a low marital rate and more single mothers and more children being raised without a father in the home, and more, we know the stats of kids that grow up without fathers in the home. So yeah, those are definitely correlated, and those kids that grew up without fathers in the home ultimately are the reason why there had to be a war on crime and war on drugs. So that's connected.
Well, I mean, from what I've found and read about, the war, the drug use actually came before the war on drugs, and then the Great Society and all that stuff started, but you didn't see a change in the non-marriage until after the war on drugs started under Nixon. And if you look at the whites and their marriage rates.
Hold on, but wait, wasn't it like it was gradually happening?
I may have a chart. What's up in here? I don't have a chart for this. Give me a second.
I mean, I can see that it wouldn't just happen instantly. Like if 90% of black people, if the marital rate was over 90%, we can assume that those people that were already married while it happened, for the most part, stayed married. Some of them probably got a divorce, but as generations went on, less and less people got married.
No, what I'm saying is, okay, so in the war of World War II, after World War II, there was a lot of soldiers that was using drugs, and they came home and started using those drugs in society, and they spread that through society. So by the time you got to the 60s, with Lyndon Johnson, there were a lot of people that were addicted to drugs. Also, in Vietnam, there were a lot of GIs that were coming home addicted to heroin. And so this is when you see Nixon starts his war on drugs. Plus, they was using LSD to try to control people, and they released that into society, and that's what created a lot of these hippies. And so you see Nixon come with this war on drugs, and that's where you start to see the marriage rate for black men start to increase. The divorce, not the divorce rate, but the unmarried rate, the single parent households start to increase after the war on drugs started. And then you start seeing these black women get on welfare to supplement the man that's gone in the family. And that's not even a large percentage of the population. I mean, there's only 18% of the black community, or the black community that's under the poverty level. So you're talking about 18% of the race. You're not talking about something massive like 50, 60%, but the divorce rate indicates that. So if you look at the white statistic, the same thing, the single parent household hasn't reflected being on welfare, and they use welfare more than their percentage is just about as equal to black women using it, black single family using welfare, as white single family, but yet their divorce rate doesn't reflect that. So what I'm saying is it the welfare issue that's creating the single parent households, or was it the war on drugs that created that for the most part? And that's where I see the correlation. So all I'm saying is, black women have an issue.
Go ahead.
And black women have an issue with this single parent household, but let's not throw it on welfare. Let's call what the issue really was the black incarceration rate. And I can put my receipts in the chat.
Okay, I definitely understand where you're going. I just think it's a perfect cocktail of all of that, but I think you're focusing on one aspect of it, because that I don't know what your motivation for focusing on one particular aspect of it, but that aspect of it, we can blame the white man and just call it right there. That is it's an easy just blame it on racism, and the conversation is over, And so I think that's an aspect of it. That's an aspect of it, the incarceration rate. I think in order to make that argument that it was strictly the incarceration rate that led to that, you would have to show how many of the men that got locked up, what percentage of black men got locked up, and what percentage of those men had children, and what percentage of those men were already in an intact family while getting locked up for being a family man and also a nickel bag king. It's factors in the equation that you got to really bear out before you can just say war on drugs, and that's what caused the single mother rate.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to give a little extra context. I'm not blaming it on white men or whatever. Like I said, there were a lot of soldiers since World War since World War II. Then you had the Korean War, and then you had the Vietnam. There were a lot of soldiers, black and white, that came back hooked on drugs because they were giving these soldiers these drugs to help them stay awake longer and fight better. And so they wasn't marketed as a bad thing. They were marketed as a good thing. But these soldiers came back hooked on drugs because, there was a lot of PTSD. They called it shell shock in World War II. And so they were trying to combat that. And they gave these soldiers all these drugs. You had the MK Ultra program. So this was detrimental to a smaller percentage of the population, which was the black percentage, was 13%. So it's going to be more detrimental to a smaller percentage of a percentage that has a population that has a smaller percentage of the overall population than it does to something that's 70, 80, 75% of the population. The effects are going to be more profound with a smaller demographic.
That's another thing, and I got to go to information, man. But I'll let you respond to this. I've never understood when people say that when they say the effects are going to be more drastic with a smaller population. Okay, so if you got one group, let's just say one group is represent 10% of the country or 13%, like black people, and of that 13%, if I don't know, 15% of that 13% ended up on drugs, then it's percentage wise, it will still just be 15% of them versus if 75%, if you're 75% of the population, and then 15% of that 75% end up on drugs, percentage wise and ratio wise, there's still the same amount of people not hooked on drugs. So you still end up with more of that larger group that are hooked on something, which means, and they got more people to spread it to. So I never understand the argument when people say, well, a smaller group is going to be more affected. I never understand that. The percentages and ratios are the same, whether it's a big group or a small group.
No, it's just when you notice it. You know what I'm saying? Like you won't notice if you won't notice in the smaller groups. You won't notice it as fast as you. I mean, in the larger groups, you won't notice it as fast as you will in the smaller groups. But the time to action, it takes to act. If you have a smaller group, that smaller group is going to be affected a lot more.
I got you. We're gonna go to Info Man real quick. I'm trying to type something in the back chat, but Information Man in the building. What's going on? Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. What's up? Info Man, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's like
okay,
I could
good.
Hear you, then you went away, then it came back. So
yeah, I turned something off. I've been listening to the conversation. I've been listening to your show quite a bit in the bushes sometimes, just to get brothers' perspective. This is another issue that I've had. We minimize the maximum and we maximize the minimum. What's been happening to the black community or black people in general is that we put ourselves into this box where we do an all-encompassing of saying that this is what all of black people are. You had the brother Pablo on here that said he didn't grow up in a quote-unquote hood, right? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of black men and women and black people who did not grow up in impoverished communities or communities that are in bad conditions, even if it was a small middle-class community. So we have to remember that black people come in all different facets of life. When you talk about the drug issue, and I was listening to what the brother was saying and what you were saying about, well, why would it be affecting us because we're a smaller percentage? When in fact, what they did to us, brothers, is that when those black people that were using drugs coming back from the war, a lot of black men got hooked on the drugs coming out of Vietnam and what have you, just as much as white men did. But it impacted our communities. Yes, it did. But what happened is that mass media or media for the time, they criminalized drug use when it came to black people. So anytime we were using drugs, it was criminalized. Now that white people who have always been using a lot of drugs are really getting hooked on it because they've been the biggest user of drugs. You notice what they're doing, brother? They're making it a medical problem. In some of the states, they're legalizing it so that they don't have to criminalize white society and say that white society has a serious problem. Let's put them behind bars. So anything that's associated with black people, anything that we do that the larger society does at a higher rate, we become the poster child for that behavior. Okay, the black community is not a monolithic community. We don't all think alike. Not all black communities are the same. There are certainly those black communities that are in poor conditions, some that can be helped, some that cannot be helped. I think men leaving the community, I think it's not really that you make a conscious effort to leave the community. I think your economic situation, your career that you pursue, that's what changes your locale. For example, Where I live at right now, I live in a pretty decent suburban community. It's a mixed suburban community where there's different races of people. But my economics dictated my locale. I didn't wake up and say, I want to leave the hood because I hate people in the hood. Now, do I go back and give up my time and communities that I'm familiar with, that are familiar with me through my organization? Yes. And it's been fruitful for me to help young youth. Do I think I can help a grown-ass person at 50 and 60 years old or 40 that should know better? No, sometimes old tigers, those stripes are not going to change. They're going to do what they're going to do. That's my position on it. And I don't criticize any brother who wants to move on to what they want to do. I mean, that's your decision. Black men should not be criticized. We should be given I'm going to give you these last words here. Black men should be given an apology by this society because we were criticized for saying, hey, we want to vote for Donald Trump. Now, I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but guess what? Black men did not vote for Donald Trump more than they voted for the Democratic Party. I think black men voted for Biden about around 80% black women 91%. So it was about 18%, 13% to 18% for Trump. So therefore, black men still were on the Democratic plantation. So why we should be giving an apology? Those black men who made a different decision. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and I've actually I've actually talked about that. How somebody got background noise. Somebody mute up. They've been talking about how black women been putting Democrats in office for years, and I'm like, no, black men have been right there too, voting Democrat at a higher percentage rate. And I point out that we vote more than Hispanic, Latinos, and Asians, and all of that. So a lot of people don't realize it's like they giving black women all the praise on that, and then black men, just a small sliver, step out of line, and now it's like the sky is falling.
Yeah, I did a show on that and showed all the percentages. And another thing too, Kamala Harris did not move the needle for Joe Biden. Black women and black men basically voted the same way for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Only one by one difference, a percentage point. She got 81% of black men, 91% of black women, 87% of black men and black women overall voted for Biden, where it was 88% for Hillary Clinton. So this whole thing about Kamala Harris bringing the Asians and all these other race of people, guess what? The Asians voted 31% for Trump. Latino men around 63% for Trump, somewhere 66%. Latino women 28% for Trump. So where is this correlation that the Democratic Party keeps talking about when they capitulate to immigrants, when they tell you what they're going to do for immigrants and other people of color?
Hey, Info man, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing? You were on Fox Soul, if I'm not mistaken, recently.
Oh,
right?
no, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I think brother Research was on Fox Soul recently. He was on there. Okay,
what's your thoughts though on? I don't want to make. Well, I'm going to use the Ice Cube interview as a point of reference. One of my biggest criticisms with this, and I love the way you were going through the stats on who actually did. But one of my biggest criticisms is that as a collective, we don't look at the policy. We tend to look more at the personality. But I'm sure you saw that Ice Cube interview. None of what they were saying was talking about policy. Yet the overreigning message was, well, you sat with the racists and how dare you shouldn't. And he was trying to lay out his point. I think that's what we're dealing with as a collective. And many men don't want to go through that. They say, man, I don't want to go up against that type of opposition with my beautiful black queen. That's air quotes, by the way.
You know why? Because I'm not going to stereotype here. A lot of us, let me say this. There are quite a few black men who grew up in a matriarchy. They grew up with Big Mama. They grew up with their grandmother. They grew up with a lot of women in their family. Even if their father was in their life, they still had this overwhelming amount of women in their life in which women have been a force in their life for either positive or good. So you grow up into adulthood, and what happens is the female energy has been imprinted on you from that dominant level to the point that even in adulthood, you don't want to go against women in that sense, because females have been such a big force in your life. If you grew up in a family as the only son or a male who was around all women. And so what happens is, even though people want to admit this, when you become a grown man, you go back to being that little boy that you were that said, okay, mama, whatever you say, mama. Do you want to make mama happy? You don't want to make mama sad, because you were always there for mama, even when she made bad decisions with the men that she brought into her life. And I think we sort of go back to that sometimes, depending on the individual, when we're surrounded by women. Because you saw that with Ice Cube. What did Ice Cube end up saying? This is a brother who grew up in the quote unquote hood, so we think. This is a brother who was in part of the rap music game, talking about, women this and women that, and the police this and all of that, right? What happened to Ice Cube on there with all his money and power these days? What did he do? He capitulated to them by saying, y'all my family. I don't want to fight, right? He stood his ground. He did still his ground. But in the end, you could tell that he really didn't want to fight with these black women and get on their bad side. That's why he said, well, we still family. I love y'all. It's no problem. As they were badgering him, because emotionally as women, they were only thinking about themselves, just the way a lot of women think about themselves when they say, well, it's my son. I'm a single mother and it's me. Even though they may have a father who takes care of that child, has 50-50 custody, black women will sometimes say still, I'm a single mother. Why? It's because it's about them. That's the ideology, gentlemen.
Yeah. We got
Very
that
well
brother P-Dat in the building. What's going on? What you got?
What's cracking, brothers? Good to see y'all. Good to see Info Man in the building. Hey,
yeah. Oh, Info Man, check the back chat. I'm asking
you've been asking for your email address for a week now.
This what
he's been giving it to me for a while. I just keep losing it.
This is what I'm gonna do, Bernard. I'm going to drop it in the back chat, and I'm gonna get off of here in a minute because I gotta go get my hair cut, man. It's my birthday today, man. I'm gonna go live it up today, man.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
I appreciate that. Peace to you guys.
Birthday, brother.
Happy birthday,
thank you. I'm gonna stay on and listen though. If anybody has any questions for me, or I'm just gonna listen and enjoy, and I'll put the email in the back, brothers.
Word up.
All right, cool.
Hey,
how old are you? If you don't, how old are you? What you over that 50? I know you over that 50. You up there?
I'm 51 years old.
Yeah,
51 years young today.
Right on. Salute. I'm trying to get there. Not too soon, but I hope to make it. I hope to make it there.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Pre-Dat, go ahead. You got the floor,
man. What's up, Pablo? I see Sir Tyson, Enemy Nation in the building. I saw your interview. I saw your visit with Brother Bernard, Enemy Nation, the other day, man. Yeah, I was chopping up some real good game, man. And so to answer the question, because I was listening to Obsidian's interview with Dennis Sperling the other night, and I think you alluded to it earlier, Bernard, about, they asked some good questions. So like, what's next for us? Okay, so say Joe. Okay, so it looks like Joe Biden's going to be our president. I mean, I'm not feeling that, but it is what it is. So the thing is that, so what is next for the brothers? Because we need to make sure that, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of gloating. Bitches going to be coming out their face. Because I have nieces and and cousins and lady friends in my life. They're AKAs. And every other day I'm getting something about Kamala Harris this, Kamala Harris that, how we took Joe Biden over the top and we as if now we're supposed to worship black women for this endeavor that they have, blessed us with society. They single-handedly have saved the country because of their vote. And so there's going to be narratives coming out, and then just like they assume that when Donald Trump was in power, that the crackers and the white supremacists, and the white supremacists and the racists, they've been emboldened. So now what we have to look out for is that, so a couple of things that we as black men are going to have to be extremely mindful of. We're going to have to be mindful of the fact that intersectional feminism, they're going to be emboldened. So I'm talking specifically about what to look for. So we need to look for more misandry. Like Rollo Tomasi calls it open hypergamy. We need to start looking more and more at when we see signs of open hypergamy, when we see signs of even more overt misandry, we need to look for more overt intersectional things being thrown in our face. So we have to really, really start taking a long look at, and we have to be ready. So I like how Sugar Free said, if you get ready, you have to stay ready. And I think that people like you, Bernard, and other brothers do a good job of trying to keep our minds on right. but we got to be more rational. We're going to have to be more rational. We're going to have to be more determined. We're going to have to be more steadfast, and we're going to have to be more immovable in our positioning and declaring our sovereignty as Black men. So we have to be able to say at this point, I don't give a fuck who is the president right now. I'm a Black man and I'm going to get mine. And the issue is, no, we don't have to capitulate. You know, we may feel like I don't want to fuss and fight with these chicks, but we don't capitulate. We don't capitulate. Even if we have to just, even if we have to just go stone-faced on them. Like, you're not going to tell me, you're not going to declare for me my rights and my responsibilities and my obligations towards you, Black woman, or any other person that I don't feel whose values or whose ideas are congruent with my personal mission. So long story short, we have to find out what our individual personal mission statement is, what that mission is, and then anybody who gets in the way of that, they can anyone who wants to come up with that, they can either get on board or they can get steamrolled over. That's going to have to be our position moving forward, Bernard, because they're going to clown. You know they're going to clown, don't you?
Oh yeah. We've seen the early stages of it. Well, Corner Store Podcast in the building. He says we need a Manosphere super PAC and have intellectuals like Dennis Sperlin and Dr. Tiesan Johnson to be the face of it. Yeah, we were doing some talking about that. I'm not, being me when I think it was I forgot which one of my shows we were talking about that, and me and BMT was doing I sent him an email, so it's gonna be some. It's at the early stages. I don't want to talk about it too much, but ideas will be thrown around, so it'll be more developing on that front. So yeah, I do think it needs to go beyond just doing media, even though the media end of it is good. Like I said, everybody from the smallest channel all the way up to Tommy Sotomayor, I think have converted a lot of Black men to not just be blind march lockstep with the Democratic Party. So the media end of it is a good thing, but then there's the question of how does this go beyond just doing media, just talking about it, which talking about it is a good thing. You can change a lot of hearts and minds by having conversations and talking about it and pointing out what's wrong here and what's wrong there and this or that. So doing what we've been doing has been good, but there's nothing wrong with taking the steps in the next direction. But fellas, I gotta step away for about 5 minutes. I'll pass the mic back to Sir Tice. So yeah, moderate yourselves. I got a good group right here. I know I ain't gonna come back and it's gonna be a damn shootout. I know there's brothers on the panel that know how to act today. So
we got a little bit of a far field. The topic of the day was, is walking away the only option.
Right. Yeah. We can get back on the main topic. Actually, I'm passing the mic to you, so you go ahead and take us right back there on the main topic. So go ahead. You got the flow. You got the mic, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes, fellas.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, what is your goal?
What I was going to say is, first, P-Dad's point, he said they're going to be clowning. I was at a Veterans Day tribute on Tuesday night, I think. One of the guys died, and a couple AKAs who I know came up, and they were all in my face. So they already been clowning, so it's already started. But to your question, Pablo, I'm going to answer this directly. Is walking away the only viable option? I won't say it's the only. There's never only one option. There's never only one way to solve a problem. But I definitely think it's something that brothers need to consider. And I keep hammering back to the point. Brothers got to. How do you think you're gonna be able to get what you want if you can't even stand in opposition of your air quotes so-called women? So what they think? You got to be able to stand in that, and it's kind of what P-Dat had just mentioned.
And the other question I guess I would have is, okay, well, what would walking away consist of for some, and what would it consist of for others?
When you say walk away, I've always thought this. A man should always, this all sounds cliche and corny to an extent, but I've always thought a man should focus on his purpose and his goals and whatever happens to him. And when he does that, he puts himself in line or with people who have the same ideas as him, or, you know, or along with those same values. So stop worrying about who you're going to hook up with, who you're going to dress up for. Figure out what's in you that you want to improve, whether that's your career, your physicality, or elevating your mentals or what have you. You know, that's how I look at it as, because you'll then fall in line with it versus going out seeking and finding clubs, hookah bars, stuff like that. Now, if you enjoy those things, by all means, continue to do that. But when I say walk away, I don't think that brothers should have to deal with a faulty product. Nobody will buy a car that they know that if they had the resources, that they could get a better car. So why do we do this with people? Why are we going to broken people when there are plenty of people out there who aren't broken?
Facts. Anybody else want to chime in?
Well,
I think we go ahead, brother.
well, I mean, there's going to be in every group faction, there's going to be a group that's more radical, if you like. If you say there are going to be people that are more radical than others. I'm more of a moderate when it comes to that. I think that there is a certain percentage of women that can be converted, given the right direction. So as far as just walking away completely, and I don't know if that I understand you guys correctly. I'm just going on what you're saying. What I'm thinking is walking away from black women. There is a certain percentage of them that can be converted, a pretty large percentage that can be and want to be converted. And, it's probably going to take someone that has a moderate perspective to do that conversion. So, but at the same time, follow the same ideology as, the majority of the people that's on this stream. So, that's my take on it.
Well, my question to that would be, okay, if it could be done, why hasn't it been done?
You have entities out here that profit from, this stuff, Bob. I'm just saying it's more for the audience. You have entities that profit from this dysfunction, discord, etc. One of the things I hate is when they put out Black people are this great consumer group or one of the top consumer groups. That's nothing to be impressed with, but that's part of the problem. So that's it right there. So you're dealing with forces on the outside. That's why I always say, if you're dealing with that, with social stigmas, of that, that's when the man has to always look into themselves. It was something, Enemy, you just said that I forgot. You had said you wanted some more explanation on this. I don't think it's literal. Oh, I got it. It's not literally black women. It's problematic, accepting the dysfunction type black woman. Let's just call it what it is. The average black woman, 80% overweight. I mean, I don't want to keep rattling off these stats or whatever to reinforce this, but it is what it is. That's what they're talking about. Or the loudmouth, the one who has more testosterone in her than the average woman abroad, that type of woman they're talking about walking away from. And I don't believe that men should have to deal with that.
Yeah, understandably so. What I'm saying is there are some women that have those characteristics, but they are willing to be converted. Now there are ones that are further, and I can only tap. It's easier for me to talk in terms of, left and right. So the ones that are far left, right? Because this is kind of what it boils down to, the feminists, ultra feminists, the ones that are far left, they're already gone. You know what I mean? They're not going to entertain that. But then there are some that's towards the center left that are savable. And then on the right side, I'm more of a moderate Republican as opposed to conservative Republican, right? So I understand what the conservative Republican is saying, or as well as the moderate left. But when you get into the far left, I'm like, hey, look, they're too far gone, so I'm not going to waste my time with them. But the ones that can be converted and saved And you saw that a lot with this election. You saw a lot of people move from the left to the right. Those were people that were able to be converted. And so if the conservative right just said, hey, look, you know what, they can't be saved and we don't want them, then they would have, you know, half of those people wouldn't have been converted in the first place.
I think enemy with, you know, those who can be converted. The brothers are all willing to help out all 253 of those. Okay.
So wait, okay.
No. I'm saying, in other words, no, in all seriousness, the people who are willing to be either converted or willing to listen, obviously, we got women, we got a couple women who are periodically in these chats. So we know that they're out there. I'm just saying, you know, the majority, as you said, are too far gone to the left. That's it. Do I think that there should be some great outreach to us to get to these moderates? No, I don't, because brothers have been doing. I'm in my late 40s. Brothers have been doing this stuff to appease women since my lifetime. Okay, it's time for us to focus on us and what we want. And then when people say, "Oh, these are productive dudes on this, they swear," let's look towards them. Let's not look towards this. That's and everybody should have a selfish focus on themselves in a sense.
Let me rock for just a second. Let me draw a couple of analogies for the brothers, because y'all brothers are on point. So when we say convert people, do you guys realize what we're really talking about is red pilling people? I mean, that's essentially what it is that we really want to try to do. Because if you think about someone who was really red pilled, are they a leftist? Most of the people that we know, that we've come across, or we've even observed either on YouTube or a BitChute or, you know, some other website where they speaking about red pill things, where they're engaging or evoking red pill praxeology, because the red pill is just really just a philosophy. It's not a movement. It's just an ideology. It's a praxeology. Think about the people that you know who are really staunchly red pill. Are they leftists? I mean, and if they're Democrats, you know, they're a different kind of Democrat, and they're able to articulate some of the philosophical reasons why they may not necessarily be down with Donald Trump. So when we say convert, I think that's really, if we were to think about it, that's really what we're really trying to do. We're trying to red pill people, because then once they get red pilled, then they become more open-minded. Then they're more willing to be balanced. Like I've been having a lot of, I'm not trying to filibuster, but look, one of the things that I say, like, because I don't necessarily label myself as a Christian, but I am a devout, I'm a student, and I'm a theology, and I'm a theologian as far as the Bible is concerned. And so one of the scriptures that I have been using with some of these wretched ass AKAs and some of these other black women, like they don't want to hear nothing bad. Like they don't want to hear nothing bad about Joe Biden. They don't want to hear nothing bad about Kamala Harris. They don't want to hear anyone say anything negative about democratic philosophies or ideologies or even their policies. They don't want to hear anything. They just don't want to hear it. Whereas if you're a red pill person, you see things the way we are. You see things the way they are. Like, because Pablo and I had talked about this, that been going on about, had chatted about this the other day on the Roger Reports. We all, as people, like, we like Donald Trump. Now we are realists. You feel me, Sir Tice? We know that in the Republican Party, it's a whole bunch of pasty racist crackers. We know this. We are by no means in denial. Absolutely. We are not in denial about that. But the thing is, the people on the left, they don't want to hear when we say you got a lot of misandry, you got a lot of pedophilia, you got a lot of a wretched, sinful foolishness that goes on amongst the Democratic Party and on the left. They ain't trying to hear it. Like you can't bring them any bad news as it concerns their guy. But they reporting the bad news all day. They've been reporting the bad news all day long, every day since Donald Trump got elected. They always have something greasy to say about people who are conservatives or Republicans or whatnot. But let us say anything about their dude or their girl, man, they go ham sandwich on you.
Just a brief add-in into this. Y'all keep going, but I just wanted to say this. Dude, do you seriously think that, and I consider myself just more on the right, not necessarily conservative or what have you, because I don't like those labels. It's not because of the perception, it's because that's just how I see myself. But do you sincerely think that so-called conservatives, and for the sake of this point, I'll add myself into this, do you think conservatives are going to be 46, not my president, and all this other goofy nonsense
Hell
that
no.
we saw? Exactly.
Hell no.
Because we focus on different things. We don't get caught up in this ancillary garb nonsense. So I just wanted to just tie that in there. And it just shows you, like you said, I remember the day after 4 years ago, 2016, it's like, oh, not my president or this. And I'm like, why don't you figure out ways that you can work within this, And when you said they didn't want to hear anything, they said, well, you should never talk to racists. And I said, well, your beloved Martin Luther King had no problem talking with Lyndon Baines Johnson. So what's your point? Well, that's different. How so? This guy was very overt with his racism, but I don't want to get, this gets into the whole policy versus personality thing, and they're governed by personality and what they've been fed.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, like, I feel some kind of way, about Donald Trump being on the verge of, having to step off a little bit. But the thing is that we still got the House and the Senate, and and even though I'm not, so this is the thing. One of the things that distinguishes people who are red pill, and to some degree, is their attitude. But one of the things, and I could be completely off. Like, somebody will come in who has a psychology degree could tell me I'm completely way off. But it seems like people who are lean more towards being red pill have a more mature outlook, on the world as it concerns certain things. Like, just like you just said, people cannot separate the politician from the policies, because my thing is, it's clear people just don't like Donald Trump. They just don't like him. And the thing is that quiet as it's kept, as far as his person, he ain't my kind of dude. He wouldn't be my nigga. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that, and I tried to explain this to a group of family members who are AKAs, and they were like, we need you, brother P-Dat, cousin P-Dat, tell us, why is it that 20% of black men voted for Donald Trump? And my thing is, this is what you don't understand. And why is it that, because that quote by that senator, that congressperson from Florida, that said 91% of black women voted for Joe Biden, 91% of black women voted for Joe Biden. Therefore, we love everybody, right? 91% of black women voted for Joe Biden, so we love everybody. But 20% of black men voted for Donald Trump, so they hate black women. So if you take a look at that's
logic. I'm just saying.
It's an extremely emotionally immature thing to say. It's illogical, it's emotionally immature, and it's flat out wrong. It's flat out wrong, because last time 2% of black women voted for Donald Trump. This time 4% voted for Donald Trump. So and that doubled. So do those women who also voted for Donald Trump, do they hate black women themselves? In other words, do they hate themselves? So
they'll call them Kansas Owens types, saying they're already on the outs anyway, so it doesn't matter. They don't fit into the Black Girl Magic Collective.
Well, let me say this. I want to circle back to something that I heard when I was away. And by the way, thanks guys for holding it down. I was going on for longer than 5 minutes. That took longer.
We could have fought. If you prefer, the fuckery always helps. The numbers.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But no, thanks for holding it down for me. But Peter, I think it was Peter that was saying something about Donald Trump. See, this is my thing with him. I think he understands. Oh, you were mentioning the racist aspect of the Republican Party, and I say that's something that we got to own. Ain't no need in denying it. There is a racist element of the Republican Party, and Donald Trump knows how to pull their heartstrings. Like when he came out and said they're not bringing over their best and their brightest, they're bringing over their murderers, their rapists, their drug dealers, their this, their that. If he would have did what any other politician would have done and would have said, hey, the immigration policies are bad. If we don't get this under control, we're going to create a larger lower class, and then the lower skilled jobs that are already hurting are going to be even more hurting. If he would have explained that, people would have been like, okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense. But he knows how to pull, he knows how to tug at their emotions. That's the one area where he is a low-key brilliant politician.
But didn't Biden do the same thing, Bernie?
I'm not explain to me how, but I want to first say I'm not saying that Donald Trump. I'm past the point of saying Donald Trump was wrong for doing that because it worked. Now he had to later explain away, white supremacist organizations or groups being all in his favor and in his corner. So then he had to repudiate them later, but he dog whistled to him and got the necessary votes that he needed. So he worked the game, and I'm past the point of even talking about something is wrong with that. He did what he had to do to get their vote.
I was saying Biden did the same exact thing. As soon as he made the whole thing with Charlemagne, you ain't black. I mean, he even changes his intonation. Okay,
no, Democrats been doing that for at least the last 20 years. I've been paying attention.
And when you say Democrats been doing that, I'll use my favorite leftist in AOC. I remember, I don't want to say it's a year or 2 years ago, she literally went to a black church and was like, hey, y'all, yeah, ain't that right? And you literally had people explaining away saying, no, she's code switching. I'm like, y'all got a rationalization for everything that supports y'all side, when it's actually the same tactics being used by both.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true. Go ahead, Enemy. Go ahead, bro.
This goes into what we were talking about the other day, and this is social capital. The Democrats have built social capital over the years, regardless if they were sincere or not, regardless if their policies worked or destroyed families or whatever. They've been building social capital. So, Joe Biden can say something like that, because he has, and people will overlook it. They're willing to overlook it. This is why you can look at these comedians. They can say racist stuff all day long, and people will overlook it because they've built social capital. But if you haven't built that social capital and you say something remotely like that, people are going to jump down your throat and call you a racist because you just haven't built that capital. You know what I'm saying? So, Joe Biden said plenty of stuff, but people are willing to overlook that simply because of the party that he's in, and that party has built social capital with black people over the last 55 years.
You make a great point, and it ties into our conversation on Sunday when I'd asked you about the whole ideological subversion. So the Democrats have Hollywood on their side. Let's just call it what it is, okay? They have Hollywood on the side. True. They can portray Republicans in meetings, in movies. I'm supposed to be in a meeting in a second. That's why that slipped. But they can portray Republicans in movies as these greedy Gordon Gekko type tyrants who don't care. And this stuff stays in the mind.
And don't forget the other aspect of it, the Trevor Noah effect. The Daily Show, how they just clowning and making fun of Republicans. And the shit do be funny, but they make them look stupid. Bill Maher cracking jokes on them. Saturday Night Live, they're going to clown Republicans more than they're going to clown Democrats.
That's because some Republicans haven't built social capital. If Republicans built social capital and they work to build social capital rather than saying, oh, well, if I do that, I'm going to be looked as a communist, then they wouldn't be able to make fun of them as much. But if they're constantly, dropping the ball on stuff, and they're, having interviews with racists and talking to racists over and over and having racist governors, and then they lose that credibility amongst the masses. And like I said the other day, in a free society, the media is always going to be liberal. And so why do you say, why is it going to be liberal? It's because they have to be liberal in order to be artistic. You can't be conservative and have someone that's artistic. A person has to have artistic, they have to have artistic liberty to create their masterpieces.
Actually, Jordan Peterson talked a lot about that. They explained why Hollywood film, all the filmmakers, all the entertainment industry, people who even pursue those type of crazy endeavors, where it's so statistically improbable that you would make it. A conservative-minded person is not going to do that. He's gonna be smart. He's gonna run the numbers. He's gonna say the odds of making it there is a high risk. I mean, it's a high risk, high reward game. But he's gonna pick something that's challenging, that's highly probable. Like if he has the aptitude to, if he's good at math, he's gonna go for being an engineer. It could very well be somebody who's liberal who's also good at math. He's gonna try to chase his art. The entertainment business and the media, every aspect of that, they are more likely to be more liberal, and there's no way around.
I'm not being an asshole when I say this. So the instance, I'm crediting the enemy was saying it, but to follow up with yours, and I heard that Jordan Peterson piece, and somebody had a counter to that saying that they showed all their artwork and that they're very conservative, but that's the one canary in the coal mine. But is the answer more Republican comedians? I mean, I'm not being an asshole when I say this, but is that the direction that they have to go to be able to influence the masses? Because I always think that even though what you guys say is very true and credible, I always think that it's not, there's always room for more. There's some people who are willing to call out the BS on the
it does matter, and I can tell you why. This is just one anecdotal example. I'll take my son who's 17. He I don't know why they did it, but at his school they did some type of it was basically like some little identity politics, or some like identity politics game where they asked you a bunch of questions of how you feel about this issue, how you feel about that issue, and they just had to go down the list and just check off the box on it. And oddly enough, when his came back, they said identity politics wise, I don't know if they worded it that way, his views lined up with like a 24-year-old black woman. he came back and he told me, he's like, hey, on paper I'm a 24-year-old black woman. Politically it was funny, but that's how his views were. And he had a friend who had the political views of like on average of like a 75-year-old white man. I was like, hey, your friend probably racist, but that's a whole nother story. But that was something we was joking around with, because his friend who's a jackass identity politics wise lined up with an old white man. But here's the thing. He very recently started listening to a lot of Steven Crowder videos, those Change My Mind videos and all of that, and that stuff is meant to be entertaining. And me personally, I didn't beat him over the head politically or with any. I teach him how to think, not what to think. So I wanted to specifically tell him that, I want to specifically not tell him which way he's supposed to go. I just taught him, how to think. But his mom, on the other hand, probably was drilling in his head a bunch of liberal black feminist shit, and that probably, explains a lot. But
you just took out my mouth what I was gonna say. See what a grandfather does,
Yeah. But anyway, and I know at 17, he's not the type that's going to just sit down and watch the news. He probably not going to sit down and read platforms of this or that or all kind of other shit. But what he did do, he stumbled into some Steven Crowder videos that were funny and entertaining. And he saw how, like Steven Crowder had one of the Change My Mind videos where he said it's only two genders, and somebody sat down and tried to argue otherwise and got destroyed. He said, I'm pro-gun, come change my mind. The person sat down, got destroyed in an entertaining and very funny way. A lot of cringy moments where, where it was presented to him in a very funny and entertaining way, and now his views are changed. He sees, he sees liberals in a completely different light now, because some form of media that was presented in a very, entertaining, easy to digest way worked for him. But that's bad if adults have to rely on something like that. But either way, his views were changed through an entertaining form of media that talked about politics. And the liberals are kicking ass when it comes to that. I mean, kicking ass. Like, they make Republicans look stupid. Bill Maher, Trevor Noah, Saturday Night Live, all of them. They got political comedians who get up there and just let Republicans have it. Just make it almost embarrassing to walk around proudly as a Republican. You're gonna look racist. You're gonna look all kind of, everything gonna look wrong with you. And that's something that go back to what me and Enemy Nation talked about. How yes, the liberals, Democrats, they're winning the media game. And the media game is a heavy aspect of this. So, I mean, what it is.
They win the game they win the media game, but they also win the hearts and minds of low information people. And dare I say, people who have who are not very morally reliable. Like, for example, all the examples that you gave of like Hollywood is very progressive. So to clarify some things, I think the Hoodservative made a good point. The issue is really the progressives, or I call them the regressives. I mean, there's some liberals who are very, very reasonable, and there are even liberals and Democrats who actually believe in God, because like Tucker Carlson said, he made a very, very good point. Democrats and people who are progressive leaning, they tend to reject any sort of spirituality. They're not reliable moral agents. They're not God-fearing people. Like most of the Christians that I know, and I'm 55 years old, and I've been in ministry for 30 years. Most of the people that I know who are really, really, really about their faith, even my Muslim people, because I was in the Nation of Islam and these people tend to be low on the spirituality side. They're less spiritual than they are solipsistic. So the world revolves around them and their thought process. And so what you said, Bernard, is like Saturday Night Live, Trevor Noah, all these other people who make fun of conservatives or make fun of Republicans. One of the issues that conservatives and Republicans have is, number one, they are fearful. They're much too stoic. Like some of the things that these people say, if a conservative or Republican were to say, or a conservative or Republican comedian would say these things, that would be considered to be hate speech. Give an example. Bill Burr. Remember when Bill Burr was on Saturday Night Live and he went in on white privileged women? He took so much smoke for that, it's ridiculous. But he was right. And this is the problem, that this is one of the things that we are always trying to remedy in the manosphere. This is the one of the primary issues that men deal with. And I'm not talking about just black men, I'm talking about men as a whole. And I think that Valdez has been hitting on it a lot about thinking with your Johnson. One of the primary reasons why our society is in the abyss, or is in a downward spiral of decadence where everything goes, is because men are not keeping their women in check. Like I get into a lot of heated debates with white Republicans or white conservatives, because I'll tell them all the time, you guys are complaining about black people talking about racism when you know good and well a lot of your people, a lot of your brothers, your white brothers in arms, they are degenerates. They are racist. They are white supremacists. They are shady individuals. I said, but the primary thing that you guys need to be trying to do is y'all need to keep your women in check. The biggest thing that I need, the message that I give to white guys, conservative or progressive or whatnot, is that your problem is your women. Because when women are in charge, when left to their own devices, they will destroy everything. They're destroying the fabric, not just the black community, the very fabric of society. And I've said this time and time again, the destruction or the downfall of the northwestern hemisphere of this planet is mostly due to white women and the men who have enabled them. Everything that you can point towards that's a pathology. Let's talk about it, because I mean, I don't want to get you into any issues, Bernard, but all the pathologies that exist in American society, from the family to the educational system to the court system to the corporate America with human resources, all these pathologies that exist, they exist because white men in power are pussy whipped. They let these women have control of everything, and they destroy everything. They have destroyed everything. So the question then, based on the topic of the show, is walking away the only viable option? Walking away isn't the only viable option, but it's becoming more and more clear that walking away has to be the top. It has to be the first thing that you should consider. Because the issue is that you have to find and be able to engage with people whose values and not just morals, because I know that we don't like to talk about morals in the manosphere, because we do have a lot of moral relatives in these people who they also think that everything goes, but they won't say it. But we have
you can talk about morals over here, because I look at outcomes. I think somebody is moral if they conduct themselves in a way that minimizes harm. You're not going to get rid of all of it. You do have to live a life. So I mean, but I don't have a problem with the moral discussion, as long as you conduct yourself in a way that minimizes harm. Keep the harm to a minimum. Go ahead.
Or doing things at the expense of others. So one of the things I think that people misunderstand about SYSBM, because I have to admit, in the beginning, I was like, why you trying to be with all these other women? Because to me, from my spiritual point of view, women are defective. Like they are spiritually defective. And that is a result of the fall in the Garden of Eden. Now, I know a lot of people we also have a lot of black men in that manosphere who are atheists. They don't believe in God. And they think, but I'm saying is that.
Hey, but the Bible it'd be so funny to me, and I'm sort of in the ranks of those of little faith, but it's funny.
I understand.
The Bible is very red pill. It's so funny. When somebody is taking a real strict look at the Bible and not just skipping over lines, they take it word for word, line by line. They say some of the most red pill shit, and I'd be like, "Whoa, shit!" That was harsh.
It's very red pill. So this is the thing. We have to stop. So if we don't want to get into this back and forth with women, in particular black women, about why y'all hate us, that shouldn't be the question. The question should not be, especially if you are a real red pill man. Because this is supposed to be a red pill space, and because we're a red pill space, we're supposed to be emotionally and intellectually, and for some of us spiritually, in tune with things that other groups of people are not. Like we're supposed to be able to see. We're supposed to be like talk about third eye. That Hotep shit they used to talk about the third eye. The red pill is our third eye. Red pill praxeology is our third eye, and so. We shouldn't have to be able to, and I think Pablo would agree with this. I'm not going to go into a back and forth about with any woman about if I decide because I got 3 girlfriends and my number one is Puerto Rican Dominican. Number 2 is ADOS, and so is number 3. So, but I'm not going to get into a back and forth about why I chose them or why I think that other groups of black women have issues just because they're black. The issue is you don't go SYSBM. You don't go SYSBM because you hate these women. You go SYSBM because you need to have someone in your space. Check this out, Pablo. This is what I told him the other day. If I'm a man of faith, say if I'm a man of faith where I'm a Muslim or a Christian or a Christopher or whatever the fuck I am, if I'm a man of faith and my faith tells me as a man, you're supposed to provide and protect and take charge and be a guardian over and to look out for the best interest of this woman and of all the people that's in this family. I am not going to provide and protect and guardian over and love and provide emotional and financial support and all that. I am not going to do that for any woman who is a degenerate.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
is
actually,
who is defective, who is morally defective, who is intellectually dull, who is spiritually weak. You
Wait,
know,
hold on. Okay.
who is fully
there's
comported.
scripture that there is scripture that actually condones SYSBM 100%. I'll have it for you later,
Hold on,
but I
wait,
don't
wait.
have it right now. But
Hey,
it goes
listen, hold
something
on, real
like
quick.
this.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it goes something like this. There was a character in the Bible. He had a son. He wanted to find a wife for his son, but the women in the location that in the country that he was living in, they did not share their beliefs.
Wow.
They didn't share their beliefs, and so he decided. He sent a one of his servants back to his homeland or to another country to go and find a wife for his son because the women where he was living were not suitable. And the servant went, found a woman, and said, "Hey, the king over here in this particular country needs a wife for his son. Would you be interested? Would you be willing to go?" The woman said, he explained it to her, and the woman said yes. She left and went with him and became the wife of the king's of his son. I'll get you that scripture a little later, and I'll post it in the chat. But it's it was a real biblical example of when the women no longer agree with your spiritual path, you can't partner with them. You have to leave.
Listen, I've said before, and this is part of my being, very cynical of the Bible, but I've said that the Bible is a grab bag. Whatever your idea or ideology or philosophy is coming into it, I guarantee you're gonna find it in there if you read long enough. Like, no matter what it is that you want, that you stand for, that you believe in, I guarantee you can find a scripture in there somewhere to back it up. That's something I've always said. So when you said it's actually that's something SYSBM in the Bible, I was like, I knew it. I knew it. Was
but anyway,
hold on, real quick. I do it. I'm going to you, Pablo, and I got to get to SKC, but I got to ask Brother Pete at something real quick, and I'm kind of on some effery. You said you got 3 girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
Are you like a Hebrew Israelite? Is that like?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that's kind of connect. That's sort of the reason why, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, I was asking David Johnson this. Now, it's 3 separate houses that they live in.
Yes.
Are these women considered your wife? Your wife?
No.
Your wives?
No,
okay, so you don't.
They're aware of their station and their standing.
Okay, because there's some aspects of it. I don't know. Me and David Johnson, we actually was we working on getting a one-on-one about this, where they essentially said something along the lines of, yeah, once you have sex with a woman and she becomes, I think he worded it as once you have sex with her, she's now your wife. And I'm like, so can you just go around having sex with 3 or 4 random women? They become your wife, and then he said you can divorce at any moment if they're not compliant with something. So I'm like, oh, that's an easy out. You can just go stick your junk in a woman and say, hi, you're my wife. Then she don't return your sex. You're not compliant. You're not my wife no more. So you basically just allowed it within the confines of the religion, depending on how you interpret it, to go just willy-nilly putting you willy-nilly any damn where.
No, that's that there are sex. So there are sex in every group, in every group or whatnot. I don't necessarily believe that. And according to the Bible, and I'm talking according to the Bible, the first man that any woman had sex with, according to the Bible, that's their husband. So if any woman who is sexually with a man who is not their first, it don't really matter. Because the husband, the man that a woman slept with the very first time, the man that a woman lost her virginity to, that is, according to the technical definition in the Bible, that's your husband. Anything after that is just, have you decided you're going to live your life as chaste person, or are you going to be a hoe? Other than that, it's just pretty much an open. It's
so after a woman has sex one time, she's pretty much done.
No. I'm talking not that she's done, but I'm just talking about as far as whether or not that's your husband or your wife. No matter at this point, if a woman, any man after a woman had lost her virginity to, the first man she had sex with, that's her husband. Any man after that she sleeps with, that's not her husband. That's just somebody she's having sex with. So theologically,
Right, so
I don't agree with David on that.
So she's fornicating then going forward from then on. So she can never live a pure, proper life based off the scripture after her and the guy.
In that one aspect. But overall, you could.
All right.
Yeah.
So Bernard, I did come to address this right here. This is why I came back on the political front since we went down that road. There's been talk in this space that if a black man doesn't support Donald Trump, that he is somehow, quote unquote, not conservative. I want to say that is a bunch of bullshit.
Okay.
Because
you could be a conservative Democrat. I do know that's a thing. But
Michael Steele didn't support Donald Trump. Mitt Romney didn't support Donald Trump. John McCain didn't support Donald Trump. So this idea that you can't be a conservative without supporting Donald Trump is pure fantasy.
It's dumb. It's actually dumb. And the reason being, and that to your point, Pablo, this is one of the things I was trying to, when I told you I had that conversation with the group of women who are black women who are AKAs, I was like, a lot of black men who voted, they weren't voting necessarily just for Donald Trump, because I bet you if you looked at some of the other things they voted for down ticket, they probably voted mostly for conservatives, or they voted for people who they voted for people whose take on policies are right leaning or right leaning. People are not brothers. They brothers for whatever individual reason. Some people like Donald Trump. I'm not really,
I don't really like him that much.
I can take Donald Trump or I can leave him. But the thing is that people are not necessarily voting for Donald Trump. They're voting for the party in general, whose policies and their beliefs and their ideologies are more in line with them as an individual. And people don't seem to get that. You voted for Donald Trump. No, I'm voting against intersectionality. I'm voting against, late term abortion. All these other things.
Hey, Peter,
we got bad background noise, so we're going to go to SKC. Go ahead.
If I could just jump in for a sec. Just a question of Peter and also you, Bernard.
Okay.
What is conservative? What is it to be a conservative?
You can go ahead. You can go first with that one, P-Dot. Well, I will P-Dot. I'll say this. I'll go first. It leans more back to I'm with it more so in the sense of traditional things. Understand that traditionalism, traditional relationships, the way that things are going, when people are, everything is getting more liberal, things are more or less breaking apart. Like everything that we talked about when we talked about we talked about welfare, when we talk about second wave of feminism, we talk about all of those things, and Peter just mentioned the intersectionality. All of those things going on is making a perfect cocktail of a society that's not going to function, where men and women are not going to be together, but those women still will get pregnant by somebody and still be, ultimately raising kids by themselves. So I feel like you're voting Democrat. I mean, some people have their different reasons why they vote for the Democratic Party, but I mean, you are standing next to feminism, or in our cases, black men, particularly black feminists, while voting Democrat. So voting Republican, I'm voting, as Obsidian words it, is a vote for patriarchy. It's a vote for more traditional values for a community. Yeah. That's where I'm at with it, and that's my views. And yes, there's more to it, and yes, there are people that have pulled up the age-old definition of conservatism and have said, y'all ain't really conservatives because y'all not even talking about this or that. But I'm like, who the hell is talking about this or that? So if we gave it another name, would that make you feel better? I don't know, but I know that's my reason. That's my reasoning.
Oh, okay, and I think P-Dad is around the same viewpoint.
It's just you just. So if you're more favor and some people in the chat gave some very good definitions. You're more favoring traditional ideas. You're more you're more in favor of men being the heads of their own household. You're more in favor of natural order. You know,
Okay.
you're more favorable of, you know, of free enterprise. You're more in favor of, you know, deregulation. You're more in favor of all those things that help the individual and his individual sphere of relevance, his family or whatnot, to be successful.
Okay. Now, is it possible to be a conservative independently, but for society, you understand that it's more fiscally advantageous to allow other individuals to do whatever the hell they want?
What do you mean allow other individuals to do what the hell
And
they
what do you
want?
mean by fiscally?
Yeah.
I think do you mean socially? Hold on, wait, let me. Well, I think it can be more socially advantageous to just let people do what they want. But
That sounds like a
physically,
libertarian.
No. Let me give you like just an example. Take for instance an individual like a Jimmy Kimmel. We all know his start. He started on the Man Show, and it was women on there jumping on bikini on the trampolines and junk. All right.
yeah, that's interesting. I forgot about that.
Then he totally switched everything up, and everybody would call him a liberal because of the jokes and the audience and all of that stuff. But how does he live? Is it not a traditional lifestyle?
What makes his lifestyle traditional?
He's a married man with children that does the basic father type of stuff. There's nothing outlandish about the way that he conducts his life. However, the things that he says and the way that he conducts himself within media makes him a lot of money by just allowing people to believe whatever they want to believe. But in my personal life, hey, I'm gonna live this traditional whatever while feeding people whatever they want to believe. And
no, that's called being socially liberal. Like a man could be traditional, he could have a family, he could have kids, he could be rich, he could make his money, but if he still honestly believes that the little guy is helped more by there being more entitlement programs, he thinks that the average person is helped more or happier if we do anything in favor of, I don't know, the LGBTQ. If we, those are social things, fighting for the immigrants that are coming over, illegal or illegal,
right. So long as it doesn't affect their individual families and lives. See, those individuals are fine with saying that they believe in those viewpoints, as long as it fills their coffers. But you will not see them at a whatever rally. You will
they
not
won't
see
partake
them
in the lifestyle that they
pulling out of their pocket to give to the immigrants to do this and that.
Well, hold on, SKC. I think you're implying that there's no true believers out there, and this sort of came up last time. I think it was the last time Obsidian was on, where he was trying to get down to the bottom of it, of why is there black men who, hardworking, make decent money, family men, why are they voting in favor of the welfare state? Why are they making a vote against patriarchy? And you're implying that it fills their bank account, but there's regular people that do that and they're not getting rich off it. They're actually true believers. I was one of them. I felt like the liberal democratic policies helped the little guy better.
And that's not my argument. My argument is that I believe that there could be some conservative individuals that they believe in conservative values when it comes to their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They also understand that they can make a lot of money off of the dysfunction of everybody else.
Well, then they're just opportunists then. They're just opportunists.
But as for how their life and their family and their children are organized, they do not go. You can tell by what they do that they're not living all the stuff that they promote to everyone else.
Right.
But,
And
that,
also,
but isn't that,
And I think that is a great many of individuals that are on the that are on both sides.
yeah, they're not activists, so they don't have activists. And I bet you find two things, Supreme SKC, if you were to like interview these men. Number one, that they're if it's a man, he and his woman or his partner, they're in tandem. So they have a lot of congruence as far as their family. So it's this person is probably, if he's not a patriarch of his family, he and his partner, there's a lot of congruence. They're probably in tandem on some of the things that are important to that family unit.
did you have to use the term partner? If
Yeah,
we're talking about conservatives, I'm messing with you, Pete.
I just
SKC.
really think that the people that are on top basically understand how to play both sides' weaknesses against each other in order to
For their benefit.
in order to make the most gain for themselves. And they also understand that in order to have a stable life, generational transfer of wealth, that you have to stay to traditional values.
Absolutely.
Hey, SKC, I thought you were going to come up to talk about this. I would like to hear your take, because you gave more pushback on this when we were talking about. I think Enemy had brought it up about the media and how most artists are liberal. You being an artist, what is your take on that?
I think that's a bunch of ridiculousness. I mean, you have people that you would say you could call artists within the United States, but when you look over the entire world, there's a whole plethora of people that have artistic leanings that are extremely conservative in that so far as leaning towards traditional viewpoints. I mean, so I think people get wrapped up into the whole thing of just looking at things from Hollywood and so forth, but when you go over the entire globe, it's not like that at all.
Well,
Yeah,
26 years of being a tattoo artist, I never said that conservatives weren't artistic or artists were liberal. What I said was that whenever you have a free society that has the only industry in the country is protected under the Constitution, which is the press. Whenever you have a free society, you're going to have a liberal press. And the reason why is because they have to have liberty, or it has to be liberal for them to have their artistic, show their artistic point of view or perspective. And it's the same thing in art. I can't be conservative with my art and call myself an artist if I don't have the liberty to express my point of view. So you do see this expressed in terms of Hollywood, where they are free to express their perspective and their opinion and how they see the world. But
okay, so Milton wasn't an artist. Dante wasn't an artist.
Yeah, so I mean, I failed to. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, taking.
I don't think you can get more or less free than in those times where if you have some weird view, you get your head chopped off.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, look, if we look at United States and we look at the media in the United States, we look at how the media has been protected. We look at social media and how it's been protected. We look at Hollywood. We look at the liberal arts sections in universities, and just all over, in almost every spectrum of our culture is dominated by a liberal perspective. Then you fight against it and say, well, no, it's all conservative. That doesn't mean nothing. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's self-evident.
I agree with you on that, but that's why I brought in the whole thought of the world and history in itself. You do not have to have liberal leanings in order to be an artist.
Yeah, but we live.
No, I don't
we
think
the
that
United
was an
States is
argument.
a
Hold
free
on, real
society. The
quick,
United
Enemy
States is a
Nation.
free society. All over the world, it's not a free society. Is what I'm saying. You can't, compare United States to North Korea or even South Korea. United States is the freest society in the world. So
Wait a
yeah, our
second,
media
Enemy
is going to
Nation.
be.
Real quick, SKC said you don't have to have liberal leanings to be an artist. Was that actually your argument? Because that wasn't mine. What I said is that there's some evidence that most artists, or rather, we talking actors, entertainers, or any people in that realm that have made it big, most of them are liberal, and there's reasons for that. But of course, on the bell curve, there's still going to be some conservative artists out there. I mean, that's
Okay. So I think this is a when you talk about liberalism, I mean, we are all liberals. Everybody on this panel is a liberal in the classical sense. You have different types of liberalism. You have economic liberalism, you have social liberalism, and so when we talk about this, is why you have the Statue of Liberty. It's not because it's some Marxist type stuff. It was because it was the land of the free, and so liberalism, classical liberalism, just means free people, free thinkers, free society, freedom of speech. That's what the Bill of Rights and so on and so forth is liberty. And so the left has done a brilliant job of co-opting the term liberalism and spinning it to mean social liberalism, which is totally different. Because you have conservative Democrats. Joe Manchin is a conservative Democrat. Vernon Jones, he's a conservative Democrat.
Are you talking about Van Jones, who was crying?
No, not Van Jones, Vernon Jones.
Oh,
I get them mixed up sometimes. You know what I mean?
He gave an encore.
But all I'm saying is, if you have a free society to freely express yourself, or freedom of expression, freedom of speech, the media is going to be accepted as the more liberal. And even the thing with his name just slipped my tongue.
Now hold on just a second, brother. I'm trying to, but I think you touched on something.
Well,
So
real quick, hold your thought, Pete. Mr. Shane Vicious in the building with a super chat. Appreciate that. He says, I believe patriarchy is the best system, but I do not believe in using the state to force people into that system. I agree with that the state shouldn't in any way, shape, or form force people into that system. But if it is the best system of producing the best people, I don't think there's nothing wrong with there being incentives for it, but it shouldn't be penalties for not doing it. I'm completely 100% against that, penalizing a brother who decided to stay single. I don't want to see that, but they want to make
penalizing so let's draw out the equation for Shane Vicious' statement. The problem is that he wrote, I live and let live. My values are mine. However, you can say that your values are yours or whatnot, but in this society, and I think a lot of people in the chat box were really making good clarification as far as, are we talking about liberalism, or are we talking about progressivism and statism? Because the progressives and the statives, Mr. Shane Vicious, they don't think your values are yours. If your values do not line up with progressive or status values, then you're a bad person. And this is one of the problems with the media. And I think this is one of the problems that a lot of traditionalists and conservatives have with the media. Yes, the First Amendment talks about the freedom of expression. The freedom of expression, as far as the right to associate outside of yourself with people and have ideas, and intimate expression. So probably at some point we should probably have a discussion about what the First Amendment and freedom of association and expression really means, because progressive people and statist people, they believe that they are the only groups of people who are entitled to their own personal, external, and internal or intimate expressions. If you're on the right, or if you're a conservative, any sort of internal or external or intimate expression that you have that goes against the progressive ideology, now you're evil. This is why someone like that senator from Florida can say 20% of black men voted for Donald Trump because they hate. See, our freedom of expression is categorized as hate, whereas their freedom of expression is categorized as love, and that's the problem with society.
And that's the reason why I had to kind of jump on the panel with the whole thing of, because I take art a little serious. That is, I guess talk about that a lot or whatever. But that whole idea of, oh, you know, if you're an artist, or most artists trend toward liberal ideologies and so forth. To me, that's a ridiculous statement, because Hollywood media in general is it's one of the most I would say non-liberal places on planet Earth. They block so many new ideas and artists from entering into their ranks that it is ridiculous. You have to put a certain viewpoint, a certain spin on this or that, and it goes through so many different you know, I would say doors that a lot of artists who do have conservative views, they never even try or even get into those arenas because of those of Hollywood and, you know, in different places. That's why it's ridiculous to me how Black people can say that, knowing the background of music and how so many musical artists are barred from making songs that they really want to make.
Just to add to that, that's a good point. I'm glad you bring that up. What I think is that when we say Hollywood, we often think of the face of Hollywood as far as the performers. We're not talking about, and you touched on it, SKC, with the suits and what have you. I know I have a friend who writes scripts, and he was telling me people were saying how great his script was, but when he got to the big wigs in the seats, they were like, we can't sell this to the advertisers we're targeting. You know, it had nothing to do with his screenplay or anything like that. It was the type of advertisers that they could get for this.
And there it is. It had nothing to do with the art at all.
Yeah,
you have this machine in place that only allows certain people that trend towards a certain viewpoint or lifestyle into the main spotlight, but that doesn't mean that artists in general lean towards liberalism. It means that the machine is only allowing those individuals to get into the spotlight.
And this is what I was alluding to.
Before we think about Aldous Huxley. We think about stuff that Aldous Huxley wrote, Orwell wrote. You know, because the media, and this is one of the reasons why, and just I don't want to get it, but this is one of the reasons why, like, theological eschatology talks about Satan or Lucifer being the prince of the power of the air. And when they say that the devil is the prince of the power of the air, what they mean is that he is the prince of the power of the airwaves. So if you can control the airwaves, if you control the media, if you can control mediums that have an impact that influence people's thought processes, people's feelings, whether it's advertisement, whether it's movies, and whether it's music, then you can control them.
I see, Bernard. Check it out. I'm not going that far, Bernard. All I'm saying is, I'm not going.
He did what I used to.
That's a spin move.
I used to get mad when I would hear preachers do that, where they would take a Bible scripture and he said he's the prince of the something of the air. And then like you said, and by air, they mean airwaves. And by airwaves, they mean the media. And by the media, they mean this individual that I don't like.
I'm not going there. I can't get on that train. But I will say this. My original argument of, again, the artist not being defined by Hollywood. And that doesn't mean that there aren't artists out there that are conservative leaning. There's a bunch of them. I've run into them. I talk to them all the time. But because of your viewpoints on certain matters, there are machines in place to stop you from being able to be involved in certain segments. And I think that that's blatantly obvious. Again, I'll just reference music and what Black people on many occasions have told others that how many times have we heard the stories of, you know, this rap artist or this musician saying, yeah, I wanted this to be on my album, but they wouldn't allow it. They wanted me to,
like I said, there's that confusion.
This type of, they wanted me to put out this type of message, and unless I did, then they were gonna just not allow me to be able to, you know, pursue my musical dreams or whatever.
And
Where
why
that
did
came out
why did
originally.
they try to stifle that message?
Go ahead, Peter. My bad.
Why did they try to
Well-
stifle that message, SKC?
Because it doesn't share what the opinion that they hold as what the worldview and society should look like.
Right.
Or what's marketable? What's more marketable? Is it more easy to get people to be content consumers, buying candy that don't fill them up but keeps them addictive? Or is it more, I'm just using a hypothetical, using nutrition as an example, or is it more marketable to tell them to go buy fruit? Obviously,
Well,
the candy.
I tell you this: the Cosby Show was marketable to Black people.
Well, that's true, but that was also one of the first of its kind. You know,
was Family Matters.
I'm not disagreeing with you on this and whatever. We can find examples. What I wanted to ask you,
what I'm saying, Sir Tyson, and I'll get right back to you, is when you do not allow individuals to make the choice of what they want, and you only give them one major choice of what to believe, then they're just going to take it.
That's a good segue.
The majority are.
That's a good segue. Where this all came out from is, I mean, you probably heard it. Enemy and Bernie were talking about how the Dems are completely winning the media game, which I do agree with. But I also say this, that the puppeteers behind the scenes are the ones who are allowing that to come through. Now, the other thing, as far as artists go, there's this popular thought that, you know, I'm not saying USKC, but, you know, artists have to be under some type of beta type of whatever state. Now, whether they get through that through drugs or meditation, what have you, it tends to be thought that more people who are on a liberal side who may use drugs may be doing that, which is why artists get stigmatized with that label of being mostly liberal. You got any thoughts on that?
I just think that when it comes to that, sometimes you have some, I would say, artists, as you were, that get into that lifestyle because of frustrations, and other people know that they can control them that way. Also, I think that you have some artists that, because they are already living that, or let me scratch. Let me do the David Carroll. I think that you have some people that, because they have a certain look and a certain appeal, that when other people that are looking for talent out there find those individuals, they see them and say, we can make this person into our quote unquote artist by giving them all of the surrounding tools and appearances of an artist, because they already have a look and appeal that we think would work on our market. And they make them into like a pseudo artist. Because you have a lot of people out there that they don't have a hinge of talent, but because they look and project a certain ideology, then a whole bunch of people just follow around them, and they're a sold product.
That sounds like this movie called The Idol Maker.
Quick,
If you can sell stuff mainstream,
real quick,
then
hold your thought. Brilliance. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. It says Juice Bloodlines. I have no idea what you're talking about, but thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. All right, go ahead. Whoever was trying to jump in.
I said, if you can sell something mainstream, then of course it's going to be promoted. If it's mainstream, you know, I remember you guys were talking about Bill Burr, but would he have been jumped on as hard as he was jumped on if Trump wasn't in office? If, say Hillary Clinton was in office, would people have jumped on him as much?
No, he wouldn't, and that's the real, I would say, sign of it all is that you can tell that Bill Burr is a true artist at what he does. I mean, a true comedian. His talent is undeniable. He can walk circles around several other people that are within the industry that get a lot of accolades. So he can't really be canceled at so far because of his talent level being so high in that regard. But I mean, other people, if they were to try to follow suit with that, because they're not as talented, they would get canceled.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Supreme King Coon. I just think that to some degree, you just have to have fuck you money, because, and I don't understand why wouldn't people have been up in arms about what Bill Burr said if Biden was president? Because the thing is that he spoke against some of the prevailing cultural narratives. And not only
he's been doing that.
He's been doing it. Joe Rogan does it. And so did George Carlin. George Carlin used to make fun of, because it's not just about one side or the other. It's about people who do things that don't make sense.
Right. But you find that in a lot of liberal media. And Bernard listed them earlier. You have SNL. You have all of the late night shows or whatnot and so forth.
But they only
anything
in favor of one side, which is usually the left.
Right.
Well, when Trump came into office,
to me, that's the sign of a lack of talent, because good grief. It's like, do you know how much comedy came out of Biden not being able to finish a damn sentence? I mean, good grief. That would be craziness in a writer's
room. You're saying it's because of lack of talent. And what I'm saying is because there's an agenda behind it. And I think that's one of the reasons why so in this particular society, I do agree. Like I lean more towards libertarian than I do conservative, but I do agree. Live and let live. Let me give an example. I was talking to the husbands of a bunch of women that are in this circle of Bible studies, and I was like, "Look, they're like, you're conservative. We're supposed to believe that." Like my thing is that I'm pro-choice when it comes to abortion. What I believe is that, and for this primary reason, is because the First Amendment guarantees the First Amendment is okay with a woman having abortion because that is her right to intimate expression. The problem is that when you have all these people on the extremes that try to tell people what to do, as long as it's not detrimental to society, you know what I'm saying? So my thing is, I don't care. Like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want my daughter to do it. I wouldn't want any of my nieces to do it or whatnot. If my daughter were to get pregnant and she, she was considered, she didn't want to have a child, I would be like, "Looking, baby girl, can you just give me 9 months? I want you to sit out of your life for give me 9 months of your life. Once you have the baby, give the baby to me. And I would rather marshal my resources or whatever I need to take care of my grandbaby than to have you kill it."
Well, I'll give you a very unpopular stance, Pete.
What's that?
I think that people fall into a false ideal when they say, as long as I'm not hurting society. As long as you live within a functioning government, whatever you do, good or bad, is going to affect society, period.
It's going to. It definitely is. I agree with that.
So anyone holding the thing of, how is this going to hurt society? It doesn't. When you are not productive, you're hurting society.
I agree.
Well, let me challenge that. You say when you're not productive. Well, okay, you got to define not productive. Are you talking about
when you hurt the GDP, you are hurting society.
Okay, all right. So you're defining it as if you're if you're at a net loss, like the money that you earn.
That means if without the society centering around you, you would not be able to exist.
Okay, so you're essentially talking about somebody who's a career welfare recipient.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying in general, if you say, if anyone holds this whole idea of, well, I'm not hurting anybody or whatnot, okay, well, if you're not hurting anybody, then why be a part of the society that you're in anyway? Just leave, go somewhere else and do whatever it is that you want to do. But they can't do that because they need the all of the advantages that the society gives to them in order to do what they're doing.
Okay, well,
I think you're
hold on, real quick. Let me explore this a little more before I pass it to you, Enemy Nation. Okay, what if somebody is just don't got a lot of skills, work at Popeyes, he smokes a lot of pot, but he can technically afford to live where he's living at because he got a few roommates. So he's just a Popeyes chicken working, pot smoking person who engages in a lot of random sexual activity, and I'm sure you would say that that's no doubt a slacker, but he ain't hurting nobody. I mean, he having consensual sex, smoking a lot of pot, and makes a little bit above minimum wage working at Popeyes. Would that guy be somebody who's hurting society?
You remember you remember Good Will Hunting?
I half-ass watched that, so no, you got to refresh me.
Oh, okay. Well, when you just extrapolate everything out, you would see how that such an individual would be a problem.
That individual is a problem. Just using your
it's
example.
like the butterfly effect. It's not hurting society per se, but it's affecting a society. So I think does that straight it up for you, SKC?
No, that's why I didn't even go that into depth about it, because it was almost like the conversation that occurred the other day when Game Changer and Angry Man and Fantastic were going back and forth about the whole idea of the little weed man, he ain't that bad. It's like thin edge of the wedge. Everybody knows that for many people, weed is a gateway drug that leads to other stuff. And then you have some people that get out of control and they can't handle this or that. And so it's like there is no such thing as, the weed man doesn't hurt anybody. Yes, the hell he does.
I agree. I agree with
So
that.
why have we been playing around with it?
I think Game Changer was right. I think the conversation went too far in talking about over policing and whether or not the weed man should get X amount of time and that amount of time. And
yeah, that's a problem.
That's where we went, and we inadvertently put a cape on for a drug dealer, and Game Changer did try to pull us back, and so Game Changer was right.
Yeah,
and that's how it goes for a whole bunch of ideologies. That's just an avatar for it. Well, when you have such individuals that say, perhaps like in Hollywood, this dude produces great movies or whatnot. He touches just one or two kids. It ain't that bad. Then the snowball effect happens, and everybody want to throw their hands up.
I don't know, but it is. I'm going to your Enemy Nation, but I do think it's an interesting concept of whether or not a guy who's a slacker but makes just enough money to pay his own way, whether or not he's hurting society. He's just not helping. He's neutral. He could very well be just neutral to society.
Okay, and what happens to stagnant waters?
They stay stagnant. I don't know.
And they collect what?
Bacteria and all kinds of shit that can destroy shit. Yeah.
Next argument.
Yeah, stagnant water poisons.
Yeah.
Poisons the well.
Not good for your health.
Okay, but people are not water. He's just a person who's. I'm not. I don't. Hold on. Keep in mind. I don't want to be that guy. Let's make that clear. I'm not that guy. I'm not arguing for myself. I'm just saying that if you're not thriving, you're hurting society. I think there's always going to be
thriving, but I'm not. I'm saying what I'm saying is for human beings, there's no such thing as being a neutral factor to a society. Either you're going to improve it or you're going to be a weight upon it. That's it. There's an up and there's a down. That's it.
Yeah, this is why people build castles, and this is why people build castles on the hill. This is why people have gated communities. This is why people, build fucking mansions and shit like that. It's because not only are they shielding themselves from a different part of society where the people were not only shielding themselves physically from elements in society that they feel that could be detrimental to them, to their person, their physical person, but they're also disassociating themselves from thought processes, from ideologies, from philosophies or whatnot that are detrimental to them and how they feel they should live their life. This is why people build fences. This is why people set boundaries.
And I'm not saying that people are going to remain in that station, all of their life or whatever. Children, when they're born, they are on the downward trend. But as they grow up, the idea should be to become one of the arrows going up. And I think within the community, you have more arrows so far as adults that are trending down than that are going up.
Absolutely.
All right, Enemy Nation, you was trying to get in. Enemy Nation, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I forgot what I was saying. I was typing something. Go ahead, guys.
We was talking about that guy who's just doing like I said,
if you're looking at it from an individual.
Oh yeah, okay, so I remember now.
Go ahead. I was going to just simply say that.
So like the weed man, right? If he's selling weed and someone is smoking that weed, then I've seen this. SKC said it was a gateway drug, and it absolutely is, because that guy smokes weed. If he gets caught right at work, if they do a random drug test, he gets fired from that job. So now he's got to find another job. If he looks for a job where they do random drug tests, then what he's going to do? He's probably going to use that synthetic weed, right? And that comes with time, like a MF if he gets caught with it. But he starts doing the synthetic drug. Well, that synthetic drug is really hurtful to maybe his relationships, raising his family. So he says, okay, well, I got to get high, so I'm going to start drinking. And then he starts becoming an alcoholic. And now you're in a real problem, okay? So it absolutely is, even though it doesn't seem like it's hurting anyone, it absolutely can become a gateway drug. Someone gets busted for that weed, it affects their higher ability, getting in jobs and so on and so forth. And it's just like I said, the drug testing is a problem. Even though weed might be legal in certain states, there's a lot of companies that drug test purely for the purpose of keeping their rolls as white as possible. I don't want to get into the racist aspect of it, but there is, you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't even say the white part. It could be also insurance provisions. I've actually seen that, whoever underwrites their things. But you make a great point, and that's what I was just trying to say about the individual. It's the strain of resources that these people can be. So yes, while somebody said in the chat, yes, while the guy who fries up the chicken sandwiches at Popeyes is needed, outside of his work, on his walk to, what he's doing to his body, or the kids who he's encountering when he's bedding these reckless women around, that has a domino effect.
No, well, yeah, you're right, Sir Tyson. I forget I can't see your name on the thing.
It's all good. I'm getting lunch. I'm gonna listen, by the way.
But like Dre Day, he says, so investing in marijuana stocks is a drain on society. No, it's not. But what it does is it helps to create, for whether you want to accept it or not, a slave class of underling people, because even out of that class of individuals that use marijuana like that on a regular basis, it's only going to be the small, tiny few that are actually going to be able to do that and be very, very highly productive individuals. There's a reason why it doesn't matter how much marijuana becomes legalized, that it's still going to be banned and outlawed for someone that's doing something like air traffic control.
Yeah. When the chronic hit, man, they had everybody smoking weed. They had people that I know for a fact that used to then smoke weed started smoking weed. Just thought I'd drop that.
I'm pretty sure everybody on the panel and in the chat are going to be like, if they had their choice, would they want their pilot to be smoking weed?
Well, I mean, I drink. I drink, but I never went to work drunk. So I mean, so I don't know if that's a good argument to say. Would you want your pilot smoking weed? But I will give you this. If I had to choose a pilot who has a clean record, never showed up high on the job, but I do know that he smoked weed in his personal life off the job, versus a pilot who just don't smoke weed at all, I gotta pick. I'm taking the non-weed smoker, all day. I give you that.
There it goes.
Yeah, I'm riding with the non. I'm getting in the plane with the non-weed smoker.
But why, Bernard?
Just off the off chance possibility he might have said, we're gonna have just a little couple puffs before work. It's an off possibility.
But we're talking about an adult here who obviously understands the station of what he's doing and how it could affect others. You don't believe that by the law he doesn't understand that and that he wouldn't use responsibly?
Say that again.
I say you have an adult here who is trained as a pilot. He knows all the ins and outs of how this plane works and how him being impaired in any way could cost the lives of individuals. Are you mean to tell me that if the law allows him to use drugs in his or use weed in his personal time, that you don't want to just trust that with your life?
See, okay, now we're getting back into the thing that I said before. I'm quite sure there's a brain surgeon somewhere who has, a couple drinks at dinner from time to time. So, but we trust that he's not going to show up to work going off a few drinks while doing brain surgery. So we technically should trust that if somebody's, drug of choice after dinner is to, smoke a little weed, that he shouldn't show up to do brain surgery or fly a plane high. But I think our perception is that the guy who smokes weed, that weed is just slowly dumbing him down for the whole of his 24 hours. I think that's what we think when it comes to weed, and that might be true. I don't know.
Oh, but because it's a weird thing, because even though you just stated all that, again, you said if I had a choice, I'd rather the dude that just ain't smoking weed at all.
Yeah, but no, like I just said, the perception is that a weed smoker is the weed is slowly killing his brain cells. So even if he got out of pilot school or brain surgeon school, clicking on all cylinders, after 10 years of smoking weed, we just kind of feel like he's a little dumber now. So that's that. That's where we at with it. But why don't we have the same? We don't have that same view when it comes to drinking.
Yeah, I mean, again,
that's a weird thing. It's almost like it's hypocrisy. How we give alcohol, we give alcohol a pass that we don't give to smoking weed.
Because
Appleback said Denzel did drugs and flew that plane in that movie.
Yeah, landed that bitch upside down. Yeah,
because alcohol is looked at as a high class thing, and weed is looked at as a low class thing. Then it is associated.
No, that's pharmacologically wise. No, alcohol is a barbiturate. It's also a depressant, so it affects your body differently than cannabis does. It just affects your body differently.
I don't know that they have prescription. I don't know that they have prescription alcohol, but I know that they have prescription weed.
Prescription alcohol.
my point is that I'm just talking about the action that alcohol has on your system. It's a barbiturate. It just does different things. It is, and in no way it's helpful is in no way is it as helpful to the human body than cannabis is, than the THC in cannabis is.
SKC, to your point about the marijuana, man, 30 years ago, I might have been in agreement with you, but right at this point, it's been studied that none of what you're saying is true. My uncle's an engineer for NASA doing electrical shit on ejection seats for military aircraft. Smoke weed every fucking Wednesday.
Yeah,
Smoke weed every day.
yeah, and I think that
Damn, they don't get your uncle piss test.
I think that as per my argument, that he would be one of the individuals that would be the standouts from that group. But I think when you look at the group as a whole, you don't have a lot of NASA guys of that ilk.
I would submit to that, but I tell you what, there. I
think that's for a lot of reasons outside of just the drug itself. I think there's societal issues, cultural issues, and so forth.
Well, sometimes it becomes an employment issue, right? Because when you get older and you assume more responsibilities, there's more risk of what? You going to work and getting popped for a drug test. But he had reached a level where that wasn't going to happen. So he went on ahead and indulged himself.
Yeah.
And he was able to maintain his, his
J.I.
He did say every Wednesday.
Hold your thought for a second. J.I. came through the super chat, says oversimplifying the philosophical complexity, and also Mr. Shane Vicious, who been dropping a lot of super chats on me. He said Ben Carson must have smoked a lot of weed. That was the sleepiest dude I ever seen. He used to be up there. Hold on, mute up, Pablo. He used to be up there in them debates talking with his eyes closed, and I just like damn, like he was asleep. I swear, he looked high. He looked like a high brain surgeon. But anyway, who was speaking? Thanks for that super chat, Mr. Shane Vicious. Appreciate you.
To J.I.'s comment about the oversimplifying the philosophical complexity of it all, I think there's a lot of dudes that would not need to sign the petition had they not been high with some hope, banging her out, and ended up with a baby.
Because I got high. Because I got high. La, da, 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 da. Somebody else was trying to jump in before I interrupted with the super chats.
Man.
Was somebody else trying to get in?
No, the only thing I was going to say is that it looks like we kind of diverged a bit away from the topic. So about walking away, the last point I was trying to make is that you walk away from anyone, not just a woman. You walk away from anyone who is not red pill. Or if you don't walk away completely, what you don't do is, as BGS used to say, you don't give them your light and your water. You don't give them your attention. You don't give them your affection. You don't give them your, particularly non-sexual companionship. Now, if you want to have sex with a woman who is woke, who you will never put a ring on, who you'll never protect and provide for, more power to you. Let's do that. But we have to start walking away from people, and we have to start walking away from people, and we have to start walking away from ideas that go against what our best interest is. And what happened is that we're brothers, men, we're lulled to sleep. For whatever reason, we either want to go along to get along. Maybe we feel shamed. Maybe we feel some sort of misplaced loyalty. And so that's what I'm saying. We have to go away from people and thought processes that are not congruent with our values and our mission in life. That's
okay.
Real quick. Hold on. You said stay away from women who are not red pill.
What I'm saying, no. But then I said if you want to have sexual companionship with a woman who is not red pilled, or someone who doesn't, who doesn't have values that are incongruent with yours, then more power to you.
Okay, so you're saying if you're gonna be in a relationship dealing with a woman, you know, actually being with her, she needs to be red pill. I never looked at it like that. Like women, I don't even know what the hell a red pill woman. I don't even know how that. I've heard some women say they were red pill. I don't know how that actually manifests in her day-to-day dealings. I don't know. I guess I haven't put that much thought into it, whether or not a woman needs to be red pill. Like for example, my woman, she has a, I mean, I've told y'all how she operates. I mean, she's the same woman that asked me who are we voting for, you know. She's on board. She's on the team. She's a team. No, she what am I trying to say? I don't know. She naturally follows. That's her nature. But far as a lot of, you know, discussions that we have here, it's a lot of stuff that she had never thought about. Maybe she had. She was basically blue pill in the sense that she was ignorant to a lot of stuff, and she would say something. I'm like, no, that ain't right. She's like, yes, it is, because such and such, blah blah blah. And I would break it down, like we break down a lot of stuff here, and then, you know, her eyes will be open. Then, you know, she's thanked me for explaining a lot of stuff to her. Now she sees things and she catches things now. You know,
she's following you. But the thing is, okay, so why does she follow you? Why does she follow you? It's because you have set the tone. So this what I'm talking about as far as is it walking away the only way? We have to set the tone in our lives. We have to set the tone in our personal lives. You know, with whether people that we talk to, whether we associate with, we have to set the tone. Is that I have given a lot of thought to this. See, the problem is that a lot of young men, a lot of all stripes or whatnot, because I know the white boys are dealing with it too on the white boy manosphere or whatnot, trying to get people to change the way they think. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, and I always take it back because the Bible is my point of reference. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So in order to influence people, you got to try to get to a point where you try to have them start thinking about things differently. Like, think about, like, the question is, it's a visceral thing where they ask, why is it that so many black men voted for Donald Trump? And the visceral response is an emotional response. It's not a logical response. Like I've been in a manosphere since 2000, since 1998. So I've been in the manosphere, part of the red pill orthosphere, for about 21 years. This has been going on for a long time. So I've been, and they used to have this concept called the rationalization hamster. So for you people in the comment section, the chat box, do a Google search on rationalization hamster. The rationalization hamster is a woman's tendency to get on a hamster wheel with her rationalizations and keep spinning. Everything's circular. They're unable to get off that hamster wheel and think logically. Because
if I could jump in for just a second. Okay, so you said the women asking why did the black men vote this way or blah blah blah, and you said it's not a logical question, it's an emotional reaction, right?
They're having an emotional response because they're saying.
So what's the point of even trying to deal with them logically? Because you already know that, and you already know that they're not looking for a logical answer. And
that's why you walk away.
And then the second part of that is something that I'm gonna just say I learned in elementary school from one of my favorite teachers. There is a thing as stupid questions. The ones that you asked but you never even thought about. You didn't even consider what the answer could be. You didn't try to seek out where you could find it or what rationale. You're just asking just to be asking. That's a stupid question.
Yeah, and they don't want to know the answer to it.
So it's like to use your energies to try to answer some of these questions that come out of these camps of these emotionally charged women is dumb.
Right. Now,
SYSBM.
Yep.
So, hey guys, I found the scripture that I was alluding to.
Yeah, you were talking about Abraham, his son.
I don't think SKC. I don't think you got to be SYSBM to say I don't have to answer these women's political questions. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I wasn't even talking about political. I'm talking about just societal at all. Like a lot of the questions that come out of, as Obsidian would say, the Black Love Machine, they're not based on logic.
Right.
They don't really want to know what's a good man. They don't really want to know what they can do better for black men or what could make a relationship better or any of that. No. You know, at the back of their eyes, the zombie look that's going on is how to get to the bag.
So the scripture was Genesis 24. Abraham was looking for a wife for his son Isaac. They were in the land of Canaan. And what he says is, take an oath by putting your hand under my thigh. Swear by the Lord, the God in heaven and earth, that you shall not allow my son to marry one of these local Canaanite women.
Wait a minute. Did he just swear on the pussy?
He swearing on something.
No, that was an old thing that they did in the Middle East, where in order to make a swear, like we hold up our hand or something, theirs would be you lay it down and then you place it underneath the person's thigh, because usually they would be sitting and having some sort of meal while they're making this deal.
And then it says, "Go."
I saw a woman with a dress and him reaching up and go. Okay, carry on. Carry on.
Go instead to my homeland, to my relatives, and find a wife there for my son. The servant asked, "But what if I can't find a young woman who's willing to travel so far from home? Should I then take Isaac there to live among your relatives in the land you came from?" He said, "No." Abraham responded, "Be careful never to take my son there, for the Lord God in heaven." But anyway, so the servant went and found a wife and brought her back to Isaac.
Rebecca.
Yeah. So, if the women are not agreeable, if they're not, believing in the lifestyle and the spiritual path that you want to follow, then you're commanded. You need to leave them.
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere in the future there will be a church where all the men are black and all the wives are non-black. It will be the Church of Pablo. It's gonna be an SYSBM church somewhere someday, and it's gonna be built off that scripture. I can see it.
That's the collection, gentlemen. Pay your tithe.
But initially, that's what I was saying, Bernard. I just came up mainly for the whole thing about the artist. I don't claim to be an artist or I'm an artisan, but to be exact. But that whole idea of that but the majority of them lean liberal, nah, not by far. Those are the ones that are given the spotlight by Hollywood. That's it.
We believe you, man. We trust you. We believe you.
Perhaps. All right, we closing in on the 4-hour mark. I'm about to go ahead and wrap this bad boy. I meant to send you an email yesterday, SKC. I'm gonna send you that today. Something I do want to discuss with you. So we'll hopefully be looking out for that email. Hopefully I don't get busy or forget. But hey, I'd like to thank Enemy Nation, PDAT, Sir Tice, Pablo, SKC, I forgot who else, Infoman was up here. I'd like to thank everybody who joined the panel, everybody who viewed in the chat, all 250 strong this late in the game. I appreciate all of you, everybody who hit that like button, who shared, subscribed, hit the super chat. Appreciate everybody who participated in any way, shape, or form in the show today. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace. Wait, SKC, hang out afterwards. Just hang out. Just stay there.
Okay.
Just stay there.